Hazel is the witch of the Black Forest. She used to have a different name. However, no one has spoken this name for many years, because one day she drowned in the river. After this, the girl accidentally found herself in the body of an evil witch from a fairy tale. She was not at a loss, considering herself to be the one who would survive even on a desert island. The heroine tried a lot of things and found a new hobby. She started baking cookies in the shape of people, inviting friends over and treating them. Because of the body's karma, the news told everyone that Hazel was baking people alive. She was called a cannibal. No one came to visit anymore. After some thought, she created a cookie house that was so cute and sweet that it was impossible to pass by, although it turned out a little crooked. Soon, the first person took the bait. She bit off a piece of the house, and Schwarzwald appeared behind her, offering tea. The girl ran away, screaming that they wanted to eat her. The heroine feels lonely. This reminds her of the past. Only then she had a grandmother. The woman always said that meals are important, and remembering her words, the heroine creates wonderful cakes. The day starts off perfectly, with carrot cake, apple cake, cookies of different flavors, and even a basket of buns. The only thing missing is someone to share treats with. She is delighted with her pets, her cat Daisy. The little girl tries to eat the cookie, but is pulled away, and Lady the dog, who can talk, orders her not to eat it so as not to get fat while she is in her body. In fact, they are in a similar situation as their owner. The soul of a dog lives in the cat, and the soul of a lady lives in the dog. Soul transmigration is a forbidden magic, and it is said that the real Hazel broke the ban and conducted an experiment on animals. The heroine is interested in what happened to the real witch. She knows that the world is based on the fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel, nothing more. She was constantly thinking about whether she could find the characters and play the role of a villain who would deprive them of their freedom and want to eat them. She doesn't consider herself evil. There are two children outside the window. They are eating sweets. The sister asks her brother to be quiet so that Hazel does not notice anything. It seems that these are the main characters. The story finally gets going, with Hansel and Gretel not yet falling into the hands of the villain. In the past, the girl rushed to save the child, considering that she did not know how to swim. Stupidly, despite this, she did not regret it one bit. The baby returned to her parents, but the heroine who saved her had no one to return to. Having plunged underwater, she caught herself thinking that she still didn't want to die. Waking up in an unfamiliar place, the woman looked around and noticed candles, old books, old coins, one of which ends up in her hands. The color of her eyes changed. Her voice too, a completely different person appeared in the reflection of the mirror. It took only a moment to realize that she was a witch. The heroine found herself in the world of the book she illustrated. During the day, she worked as a kindergarten teacher, but at night, she worked as a book illustrator. The clients asked to redesign Hazel. She was too scary to create, and the thought of getting into her body never occurred to them. The heroine is happy to meet the heroes in real life. Something interesting happens in the boring world. The girl picks them up and brings them into the house. The dark-haired one screams for them to let go. Anyway, if they were going to eat the house, they could at least say hello and thank you. Naughty children should be punished by hugging their brother. The young lady states that they behaved well. The girl enjoys making fun of the main characters. She quietly asks if they really won't apologize and takes out a fork. She gives them a choice. Either they become food, or they will drink tea with her and eat a piece of cake that she baked. Having set the table, the witch smiles. The more she thinks, the sweeter the children become. They thank her for the food. The boys don't want to eat carrot cake, but Hazel uses her parenting skills to convince them to at least try the treat. They introduce themselves as Luna and Luca. The girl is 7 and he is 5. They get along well with each other. The girl is surprised that they are not Hansel and Gretel. When asking about the children's parents, the woman expresses embarrassment. It turns out that they abandoned them. In a past life, the mother also abandoned her daughter. One day, when she came home from school, she found a letter of apology. The woman asked to obey her father, but in the end he also ran away. Luna and Luca have a very similar fate. Hazel wonders if she might be wrong about their identities, if they must kill the witch for the book to end. The beauty wants a touching and pleasant ending, not a cruel fairy tale. She has decided on her role. Until the children's father appears and repents of his sins, she will take care of them herself, and that is how she will become good. While offering cookies, the lady receives a question. Luna wonders if they are trying to fatten them up just to eat them. They refuse to eat, fearing that there are people baked in the cookies. Once the meal is over, it's better to go wash up. The woman needs to clean up after a shower. She lets the kids out to play with the cat and dog, and joy reigns in the house. Lying in a prepared, cozy bed, the blue-eyed man notices that the witch is not so scary. Luna refuses to sleep. Approaching the children, the girl reminds them that for the proper growth of the body, they must rest well, and that she is well fed. In the morning, an embarrassing incident occurs. The girl goes looking for Hazel. She is nowhere to be found. All this time she has been on the street, hiding. There are two girls standing a meter away from her. Perhaps she wants to eat them. The witch, in fact, wants to hear what they are talking about. Rumor has it that the Archduke has gone mad. Elliot Blaine inherited the title at a young age after the sudden death of his parents. Thanks to his outstanding abilities, the duchy prospers without knowing war. It is surprising that he went mad. The witch was discovered. She was watching from the shadows. She was trying to explain herself, asking not to believe the rumors, but they did not listen to her. Luna approaches the girl. They need Hazel to help make the bed. She couldn't refuse. The boy asks for forgiveness for wetting himself. Although he is already 5 years old, it seems he was often scolded for this. Otherwise, he would not have apologized with tears in his eyes. While creating a little water fairy, the woman asks her to clean up the puddle. The blue-eyed man was nervous because he was sleeping in a new place. He doesn't have Lulu. It's a bunny that he always carried with him. The toy was left at home. Hazel offers to go there and get it. Luca wants to tell him the location, but his sister shuts him up, saying that they don't have a home. Otherwise, they wouldn't be with the witch. All day long, the boy asks the same questions, asking if they are really not angry with him, and if they are not going to eat them, they reassure him. In order to be 100% sure that her words are true, the heroine asks him to help her collect mushrooms. The boy hates them. The laundry is hung out because the forest is dangerous. The girl asks the children to hold hands and not go far away. Luna can't get her feelings towards the witch out of her mind. She assumes that they might be sacrificed somewhere in the forest. This is the first time they've seen how mushrooms grow, and their ignorance isn't surprising, since the children spent all their time stuck in the house and didn't have any hobbies. It all adds up. They were treated cruelly. Their freedom was restricted while they should be learning and developing. Hazel decides that she will never take them back so that they don't feel trapped and suggests visiting the village. With the help of magic, the witch shows what they can do. For example, buy new clothes, taste delicious things. It turns out that they have an older brother. Luna asks her brother to keep quiet so that they are not sent home. After all, they are not orphans. The words were a lie. The boy misses his brother, but they don't need the one who abandoned them. Something must have happened, and he was forced to leave the little ones. The first thing they do in the village is to look at things. People are shocked to see a witch in the shop. Usually she makes her own clothes. The fairies were in the shoe business. But since Hazel would be spending most of her time with the children, it was important for her to establish relationships with the locals. Smiling, the lady hands over the money. She wants to buy new shoes for the kids. The seller thinks that they were stolen. Hearing them whispering, Luna screams, calling the girls rude, saying that in the village they don't communicate with clients properly. They are getting ready to leave. The grandmother offers to show the goods. The children look clean and healthy. Hazel is not a bad person. Little Mrs. Hare is the color of the night sky, and her eyes are violet, as if royal blood flows through her. Choosing an image will be easy. The duo thanks her for the new things, not understanding how the witch got the money. They are interested in what she wishes for in life. The woman lies about selling jam and mushrooms, but in fact, she is fabulously rich. Someone left a whole mountain of gold in the basement of the hut. She tried to live modestly, but she can no longer do so. She needs to somehow provide for her children. Behind her back, the peasant women are talking about the Duke's reward. They say the man's children have been kidnapped. Hazel intervenes and asks what they look like, because maybe she can help. Luca screams. He sees a bunny that looks like Lulu. The girl wants to ask everything to Luna, who has disappeared somewhere. Jumping up from her place, the heroine rushes to search. She finds a little girl who is tearing an ad off the wall. She pretends that she wanted to draw and found only this kind of paper. They ask her to warn about everything next time. Wherever they go, everyone talks about nothing but the Archduke, if he only recently married, and the missing children are still small. The man's appearance is outstanding, with silver locks and violet eyes like cut amethysts. His lordship looks at the picture of Luca and Luna. He doesn't know when he will be able to see them. The boy sleeps poorly without Lulu. An assistant bursts in. News has arrived. Children matching the description have been found at a clothing store in the village of Black Forest. The day is coming to an end. The girl is planning what they will do tomorrow. The previous days dragged on endlessly. The new ones seem fleeting. Luca comes into her room. He can't sleep, followed by Luna, who followed her brother. The girl speaks like an adult. She must have had to go through a lot. Their lives were difficult. From the outside, the house seemed much scarier. But inside, the children found peace. From now on, Hazel would solve all the problems for them. In her sleep, the little girl asks if they can stay together forever. The woman nods, hoping for the best outcome. In the morning, someone came. There was a knock on the door. The green-eyed girl did not understand who it could be. A man with snow-white hair was standing on the threshold. When she opened the door, the girl never expected that a blade would be put to her neck. Hazel was sentenced to death for kidnapping. The children also wake up. The woman explains that there was a misunderstanding. Luna asks her brother to calm down. The servant passes by and calls the lady and gentleman to him. Looking around, the heroine begins to understand that the Archduke is standing in front of her. The girl didn't think that Luca and Luna would turn out to be kidnapped children. The layers of questions that had accumulated over time instantly melted away. Two noblemen, the most noble of all aristocrats, try to stop their brother by blackmailing him, declaring that they will starve themselves. Times are changing. The kids started eating carrots because they eat everything Hazel cooks for them. Something was done to the little ones. The heroine doesn't understand what is meant. She simply taught the children not to be picky about the food they prepared, as they did before. Noticing that the sword should be put away, she is interrupted. No one has succeeded in changing the habits of the Duke and Duchess. The knights assume that Hazel has been brainwashed, and there are many rumors about Witch's ability to use black magic. Stepping back, the beauty decides to use her powers to do something with the sword that is still pointed at her neck. The sacred power confuses everyone. They shout at her. She tries to ask them to stop, because the kids will be scared. Luca can't help but start crying. The beauty will tell you everything. First, she brings a plate with carrot cake and puts a fork on it. The blonde is offered a piece to eat, to which he receives a skeptical look. Daniel is given an order, and he obeys. You'll also have to take the cake with you, so that you can conduct an examination. They probably mixed something into it to make the Duke a puppet. The gentleman calls Lunabelle and Luca, and without holding back, the witch shouts that he is no better, that he locked up and harmed the children, and constantly humiliated them. Without listening at all, the young man again orders them to go to the carriage. Hazel doesn't think this is right. The kids will be locked up again. Magic allows the door to close, even with the help of axes, but the knights cannot open it normally, because it does not budge at all. The only thing the lady requires is that the man becomes a good support for the children, changing his attitude completely. The situation irritates the Duke. The witch who devours people dares to tell him how to properly raise Luna and Luca. As soon as proof is found that she really is a cannibal, she will be sent to the chopping block. The children are screaming. The woman doesn't eat people if you help her pick mushrooms. They ask her to go with them, to become their new nanny. In a calm voice, the lady explains that they will have to go home. She will write to them. Someone from the estate will help them read the unfamiliar words. There was no reason to stay in the house. They went to the carriage. At the last moment, Hazel jumped out and asked to stop. She hands over children's things and toys. The man snorts. They don't need items cursed by a witch. There are enough useful things in the estate. Despite this, the children were still sweet, delighting in things that were completely out of keeping with their standards. They only ask the brother to promise no killing. They don't want Hazel to suffer. The man agrees, but orders them to return to the carriage, as it is dangerous outside. They add that it would be nice to say thank you for taking care of them. He has no other choice but to agree, and bowing his head, expresses gratitude for watching over the younger ones. For some reason, he is still sure that the girl manipulated the boys, and the witch's things will be loaded into the back of the carriage. The green-eyed girl sadly watches the departing carriage. She regrets that she did not keep her promise to stay close forever. The kids brought colors to our new life, but we couldn't thank them enough for that. The days will become boring again, just like before. The lady tried to hold back her tears all the time, but she had no more strength, so they began to flow like rain. If the girl is in a really bad situation, she can always ask Daisy and Lady to look after the children. They will never refuse to help her. At 5 o'clock in the evening, the sky is still clear. The owner of the crew, delivering food, does not crowd. The guys have a free 20 minutes. They take off and run away, climb into the carriage, thinking that they will be able to meet Hazel, but are noticed by their older brother. No matter how smart they are, kids will be kids. He won't fall for the same trick as last time. They are sent back to the main building. The maid apologizes. She should have kept a better eye on them. In addition, Elliot imposes a ban on cats. Daisy tried to get into the estate. Daniel has to personally check everything. He will place an order in the kitchen and check the ingredients. Favorite dishes are prepared for dinner. The man sees that the children are not eating. They should stop starving themselves. He, as promised, did not touch the witch with a finger. The blue-eyed man asks to give him more chocolate. This time, the young man is forced to refuse. He has lost count of how much chocolate they have eaten in 1 week. It is more difficult to cope with the antics than with the plans of the emperor. They do not suspect the reason why they are so protected. Danger can creep up from unexpected places, like demonic beasts, because many wish death on children. Being a chef, the man cannot afford to lose to the witch, so he puts a special dish on the table. There's Harold's beef and carrot stew under the lid, and he's starting to think he can't compare to Hazel after all. Surprisingly, Luca is the first to reach for the plate and eats the carrot. The cook breathes a sigh of relief. Too soon. I turn away. Lunabelle declares that she is disgusted. The dish tastes like dirt. My brother starts to feel sick after these words. The girl remembers the witch's recipe. First, you have to cut the carrots into pieces, and only then boil them. The kids would like to eat the carrot cake they made earlier, but Elliot reminds them that it has been 10 days since they returned, and it would have gone bad. Without thinking twice, the beauty picks up her brother and leaves, ignoring the fact that the meal is not yet completely over. In the evening, the Duke declares that the two will not receive dinner. They should have behaved more respectfully at dinner. They don't care. Even though they will be deprived of chocolate for a whole month, they again ask for their nanny to be brought back. They kicked out the previous one. She was talented and came from the other end of the empire. She submitted her resignation. The boys want Hazel, not the previous nanny. The man does not understand what they saw in her before they met. The boys acted as if everyone around them was their enemy. Compared to her brother, the girl doesn't swear. He notes that she lured the children with a gingerbread house. I wouldn't do that. Lunabelle is against talking about Hazel in this way. She points out that they were not eaten. All body parts are in place. The brother joins his sister and starts repeating how much he wants to go to the Black Forest. They all miss her. No one has ever allowed the boys to do what they want. Daniel asks how they are doing, if everything is okay. The young man received a letter from the Emperor. He is driven out of the room, leave, like last time on an expedition. Blaine had time to realize that he had become the eldest and the only adult in the family. No matter how hard he tried to be fair, the burden was heavy for him. It's raining outside. Hazel feels incredibly lonely. Lady jumps into her arms and asks when those kids will come. All this time, the cat didn't care. She changed. Attachment is really a terrible thing. Earlier, the little girl was sent on a reconnaissance mission. She was calmed by the news. She tried to console herself even more with carrot cake. The heroine realized that it was really difficult for her. She would like to adopt a child. No one would allow this to a witch. Someone knocks at the door. Lady and Daisy declare in advance that the man should get on his knees and beg for forgiveness. They are not quite understood. Everything falls into place when the door opens, and the Archduke himself stands on the threshold. He didn't come for no reason. A few days ago, the young man received a letter from the ruler, who wrote that he again expected Elliot to prove himself. Not even a month has passed since the last expedition, and His Highness's problem is that from each one, the man returns alive. The man is looking through the alchemist's report. He didn't find anything. They write that it was an ordinary cake, nothing more. He's glad that the children weren't harmed. Daniel didn't believe it. The witch must have used some kind of sophisticated magic that no one knew about. The knight had previously said that he had not felt anything, but he did not care what the examination said. The Duke noticed other details too. The witch, who was supposed to be evil, took excellent care of the children, without wanting anything in return. It is said that she often turned villagers into frogs for their wrong views. The witch she was on bad terms with died of some strange disease. She was obviously murdered. Despite everything, a couple of years ago, she began to look like a different person. The last noticeable change. There was a week left before the expedition, so an idea came to mind. The man remembered his brother and sister's hysteria and made a decision. The girl looks at the Archduke. He has only a horse, no carriage, and of course he has no children. He is diligently thinking about something. In a calm voice, the man asks for a few minutes of his time. He is frightening. He has come too close. Having previously called her a witch, the young man decides to ask her for a favor, probably wanting her to conjure something for his benefit. Hazel turns around demonstratively and says that she is busy and needs to go mushroom picking with Daisy and Lady. Calmness informs that everything is fine with the children. There is nothing to talk about, and she heads away. The rain quickly ended. The weather is great. The only annoying thing is the one who follows you. He behaves suspiciously. Deciding to ask the question directly, Hazel asks why she is being followed. He is busy and wants to have a quiet conversation on the sidelines. Usually the Virgo is calm. She gets angry thinking about the bad treatment of the children. It gets so annoying that the lady declares that she is going to offer the Duke's noble blood to some demon. Looking down at her feet, the heroine notices mushrooms and sits down next to them. Elliot doesn't understand why they need to be collected. They make fun of her. Hazel is cautious, but she can safely collect fly agarics, which is what she came for. The absurdity of the situation strikes the beauty, and she is distracted by the sight of Daisy climbing up the tree right towards the hive. The Duke takes out his bow and arrow, and it seems he is aiming it straight at the girl's back, intending to kill her. With the help of magic, the heroine blocks the blow. She realizes that the arrow was not flying at her. A growl is heard behind her. The bear doesn't care about the sharp tip. They rush away. If this was the work of a witch, she would not try to escape. The beauty jumps back and uses her powers to drop a beehive on the animal's head, and success is not long in coming. The man doesn't quite understand whether it would be better if he were attacked, and the green-eyed woman doesn't understand why she would wish death on someone. Elliot is paranoid to think like that. If he is so out of his mind, it makes sense why he locked the children in the estate and didn't let them out. It suggests that if a woman does not commit death, trying to earn trust, she summoned a bear and then demonstratively defeated him. Hiding in a cave, the woman explains that she wants to be alone. It starts to rain outside. The weather changes. The Duke looks at the young lady and begins to understand why she changed her appearance, because it made her more attractive. A couple of days before she got into a new body, right after the witch received a chest full of coins from a stranger, everything happened. Hazel thought her appearance had improved because she had been redrawn. The Archduke doesn't know what they will do next. The green-eyed girl throws a towel in his face so he can dry himself off with it, and offers to sit next to him near the fire. His stomach is treacherously growling, so the man decides to throw some mushrooms into the fire. They grow on his land and belong to him. The girl has something to answer for. She creates a piece of cake, which she intends to eat herself without sharing. If the boy were a puppet, she would have used the opportunity to come to the estate and see the boys, and would have brought them some cake. The examination showed that the heroine did not mix anything in, and she somehow managed to persuade the kids to behave well. Getting down to business, there are a lot of things that interest me about Hazel. It's hard to stray from the path you've been on your whole life. People don't change. Elliot doesn't understand why the witch suddenly became good. She lies about the illness that made her become different. The gaze is intense. Earlier, when the young man was treated to cake, he took out his utensils as if he was afraid of poisoning. If he had been careful, he would not have come alone. Even last time he only took a few nights. There was silence. The green-eyed girl began to understand that she was going to be interrogated. She did not want this at all. The man doesn't plan to tie her to a pole and set her on fire after asking questions. He has one request, and she already knows about it. It became obvious to Hazel, even before she was told, that her answer to the request would be no. Before asking, Elliot didn't think to apologize for the false accusation of using dark magic. The Archduke easily backs down, apologizing for wanting to sentence to death, the request being too important for him. It's time to ask the lady for an apology. She left the children in her house without any permission. Hazel didn't know the children belonged to the duchy, although she should have guessed. The kids said they were being bullied. The estate is not considered a prison. Luna and Luca did not specify that there are many rooms, entertainment, a private garden, and servants. The rain is gradually stopping, and yet it seems that the witch controls the weather. It is time to go. The girl changes into her uniform, looking in the mirror, and catches herself thinking how much she resembles a maid. She was given work instructions a few hours ago. As a test, she was promised an exam in a couple of hours. The girl asks when she will be able to see the chestnuts. The head maid is skeptical. One should not address the master and mistress with such vulgar terms. The training was intensive, starting with manners and linguistic etiquette when communicating with nobles. It continued with destruction from the Duke, the butler, and the head maid, and then with the demand that Daniel be informed of all people he met when leaving the building. The exam is passed, but one of the rules states that the girl cannot eat with the chestnuts. Eating together would strengthen the bond. The rule is mandatory. In addition to this, the head maid asks to avoid overly sweet desserts. The girl was going to feed the master and mistress sweets so that they would not be capricious during the meal. Anyone could pull off this trick. She explains that it was an isolated incident and that she is a good nanny, in which case the woman will take Hazel to her room. The door rolls back, and the lady cannot contain her admiring cry. To attract people, the Duke provided excellent conditions for the nannies. The witch is not very comfortable staying in such a large and luxurious room. She prefers to sleep in her house. The heroine has not forgotten herself and will follow the rules. She is asked if she came without luggage. The lady could have brought her things later, but she was obliged to start work. They threw her a uniform. As soon as the heroine is ready, she is expected in the kitchen. The chef said that he needs the help of the new arrival. Daniel, upon hearing about the plan, thinks that the gentleman has gone crazy, smiling. Elliot believes that no one has the right to think that way about him. The maids think that something is wrong with the Duke. The atmosphere is tense. They do not want to go into his office. The Archduke suddenly returned with a young girl on his white horse, causing a commotion among the servants, but not for long. It turned out that she was a cannibalistic witch from the Black Forest, and to top it all off, he said he would make her his nanny. Rumors are spreading that his lordship might have been bewitched, but Arwen doesn't think so. His bound power is too weak. He may well simply not recognize it. The man is not weak at all. This is enough to look after Hazel. For this, he will be excluded from the next expedition. There is no limit to Arwen's indignation. He cannot be left aside when it comes to such a dangerous monster. Except for the time when he briefly joined the Paladins, he had always done nothing but protect his master. Elliot lowers his voice and explains that nothing is more important than looking after the witch and doing everything right. It becomes clear what the plan is. The Duke's hope that power will stop the magic. For the older brother, the kids are important. Hazel will simply be a leash to be used after the expedition. She will definitely be disposed of. The man will sort everything out as soon as he returns. He is confused by the fact that there is something strange about the witch. He does not understand what exactly. When they were driving to the estate, the lady did not even ask about the working conditions. She stated that she did not need money. The girl tries to find the kitchen. Arwen appears behind her. She remembers that it was he who stole the carrot cake from her house. She was never told that she couldn't wander around the estate as she pleased, she explains. I need to get to the chef. The knight escorts the young lady, and when asked who he is, he introduces himself as having apparently been working with the Duke for a long time. The conversation takes a different direction. Arwen doesn't allow familiarity. He's not the kind of person to talk to like that. And yet, the young man seems like a reliable and nice person. He won't take his eyes off the girl, and she's quite happy with that. Entering the kitchen, the heroine gasps. The room is huge. It's not surprising. After all, hundreds of people work for Blaine. Rumors about the witch have already spread, the chef shouts. Asking why the workers are distracted, one of the cooks points to the new arrival. The new nanny is introduced to Mr. Harold. Last evening, he asked the Duke about dinner for the children. He was told to contact Hazel. There are many foods that the kids don't eat. They can be added to their favorite dishes. The chef is dissatisfied. He orders them to get down to business. Dinner is in 20 minutes. There should be enough time. There is nothing left to do but at least try. Snapping her fingers, the heroine receives the food and a bowl in her hands. Untested ingredients brought in from outside are not allowed into the kitchen. Didn't you read the instructions? For nannies, there was nothing described there that had to do with products. From now on, she, like everyone else, needs to submit third-party products for testing. The reagents for testing are supplied by the Association of Magicians. They cooperate. Everything in the duchy is only from trusted sources. The witch understands that all this is costing a pretty penny and offers to bring something from home, but she is refused. The poison has not been detected, and the lady is about to start preparing dinner. It is time to eat, and they enter the refectory. There is the oppressive atmosphere in the room. The children remain sad. They are not introduced to her yet, so as not to distract her. There are many wonderful dishes on the table, and Hazel's preparations stand out against them. The Archduke looks at the girl with displeasure, as if she shouldn't be there. Daniel wasn't warned about this either. The young man tries a little bit of the Black Forest dish, checking it for poison. The girl is worried. It looks as if she really did mix something in there. Having tried the dish, the chestnuts ask for more, and the Duke does too, but they won't give him anything. The boys are glad that Harold prepared something edible. The girl cooked dinner, but no one remembers anything about her. The Duke probably already guessed that it wasn't Harold who cooked the food. It's time for dessert, and the tray contains a variety of delicious treats, including live cookies. Hazel uses magic and attracts attention to herself. The children rush to her and hug her. She missed them as much as they missed her. His lordship calls the boys back to the table. The meal is not over yet. If they do not obey, they will be left without dessert. It's no use blaming Hazel for any nicknames. He asks her to wait outside the door, at least until the meal is over. The heroine is sent to a room where she needs to change clothes. The clothes should be such that they can be easily noticed from a distance. The closet is empty, so the work will be easier. The lady connects her house through the passage in the closet. Lady and Daisy jump to their mistress. They thought that something had happened. She had not come back for quite a long time. The girl tells everything. They did not agree on a reward, but she was able to receive a full apology. The woman bathed the children, put them to bed, and read them a story. She too should take a shower before going to bed. She's glad she was able to make a door to her house. Black and white cats are banned in the duchy, so Daisy will have to be replaced. Going into the bedroom, the beauty sees children in her bed. They ask if they can stay with her for the night. She can't find the strength to refuse. The bed is big. There's enough space for everyone, including the animals. The boys say that they tried to get to Hazel several times, but their older brother stopped them each time. The young man is right, because in the forest, they could have encountered some not very nice people. The kids promised not to run away next time. No one warned Hazel that she had arrived at the estate for temporary service, so she decides not to talk about it for now. Harold examines the witch's dish. He can't figure out what was added to it. He promises himself that he will figure out the composition. Daniel drops by to check if the gentleman and lady are nearby. Their brother can't find the children. The morning begins with a conversation with Hazel. The Duke turned the entire archduchy upside down during the night when he noticed that the rooms were empty. The boys were found with the nanny. They shared a bed with her. A cat and a dog were lying nearby. The man was incredibly angry because of the absurdity. The girl reminds him that there are no rules. Since she follows everything senselessly, Elliot has his own methods. The young man writes a new rule. From that day on, children are required to go to bed in their own rooms. Virgo takes the pen for herself. She agreed with that point, but she disagrees with the ban on black and white cats, which was introduced because of Daisy's hack. She asks him to cancel it, adding that she would be grateful, and that another thing that is needed is a personal garden. Mrs. Position is temporary. The master cannot allow her to continue doing God knows what in the duchy. The weekly schedule of the young ladies and gentlemen is too busy. At their age, the game is the acquisition of knowledge. They happily devour the vegetables they have collected. In the morning, the lady prepared an omelet with fresh carrots, and even Elliot liked it, so they give her consent. The man can't stop thinking about how amazing the woman is. He finally understands why caring for the kids isn't a burden to her. The witch combines Luna's courage and Luca's bright character, yet she is a stickler for following the rules. The young master should be training, but instead, the three of them came to the garden to train his physical abilities in farming. Daniel is against it. The Duke only gave permission for the plot. The guys look at each other. They are preparing for something. They scream and beg, and eventually the man agrees. But the servants around him are uncomfortable with the behavior of the nanny and the children. First, they decide to plant broccoli, then carrots. The knight watches with disdain as Luca and Luna dig in the ground. Thanks to the acquired knowledge, the children will understand how the estate's servants live. Such experience cannot be gained if they sit within four walls. They dealt with the seedlings and seeds quite quickly. The girl smiles and praises the kids. They tried their best. Lulu, the little bunny, is all dirty, and the green-eyed girl understands that she will need to clean the toy. The heroine invites the children to try reading the names of the crops they planted. Daniel also checks. Everything is correct. The man changes his mind and has no objection to combining farming with reading lessons. A sandwich appears in his hands. He is offered to take a piece. He is skeptical, but still agrees. It turns out to taste quite good. The lady doesn't know why the knight is with them at all. He's busy, chewing. The brunette asks to say thank you to someone for this. It's clear from his face that he's hiding something. He probably ran away to avoid working with the Archduke. Hazel is grateful that the children are being looked after. But if the master admits there could be problems, a figure appears behind her. The young man promised not to follow. Once he came, they handed him a sandwich. He had already eaten, but for some reason, his hand reached for the food. Arvin takes it, reminding him that the gentleman has just come from lunch, which means he doesn't need more. The blonde remembers that he didn't come just like that. He wanted to see the children. For some reason, they were dressed like farmers. The boys strengthen their immune system by digging in the soil. They will pass this on to the doctor. The Duke is about to leave, but before that, he still takes away the sandwich. Daniel is sad. He couldn't eat properly. The man is given another one. Elliot's thoughts are getting stranger. He wants more food. 3 days before the mission, additional tests were conducted. Nothing suspicious was noticed about the witch. On the second day, she went to the market near the duchy, followed by Hazel, who simply bought toys for Luke and Luna. That day, the young lady was handed her salary. She spent the money correctly, although not logically, because the little ones have toys to spare. A friendly smile and attractive appearance are confusing, and many people begin to show sympathy towards the witch. In the evening, passing by the kitchen, the knight overheard Harold and Hazel talking. He bowed his head to her, begging her to teach him the recipe. The maiden gave a free explanation of how to make a stew, showing that you need less spices and wine and cook the meat longer. At first, the heroine took the cook for a scary person, but he is wonderful, since he decided to work for her. The young man did not agree that the girl was unremarkable, but he agreed with the rest and thanked her for the recipe. Elliot smirks. Just because Harold fell doesn't mean he'll be interested in the witch too. He's not that stupid. Something clicks in my head. and the image of a sandwich appears before my eyes again, even though I've never had any desire to eat. They look into the office. It seems that the girl is just a hallucination. No, she is standing in front of him. Daniel decides to leave to let them talk. She wanted to give a gift. It is customary to spend the first salary on gifts for those to whom one is grateful. The beauty chose a wonderful silver decoration. She spared no expense on it. With its help, the young man will be able to test the poison. The gentleman does not feel any strange energy, but he is still skeptical. They do not have the best relationship, but they are changing. He is asked to open the pendant. The contents will surely be to his liking. The heroine is going to help with this. The heroine simply wanted to help open the jewelry, but genuine sympathy begins to appear inside. A pretty face can win recognition, but Elliot refuses it. Don't come near me anymore. Thinking that they are afraid of her, the maiden nods, opening the pendant with magic. She shows a photograph of Luna and Luca, which she drew herself. She had been drawing since childhood. The picture was too realistic. The gentleman almost thought that the children had been shrunk and trapped inside. Surely, during the expedition, the older brother will miss the younger ones. He is grateful, because even on the battlefield, he will always remember them. The Virgin admits that this is a bribe. She wants to get along with the Duke. It can be confusing. You should be especially careful. While the man would be participating in the expedition, the contract would expire. The young man did not say anything, because then the witch would not be able to cope with Luna. If they find out, it will hurt them a lot. They think that the nanny will live with them forever. She herself would not be against it. The Duke changes. He orders not to tell the children a word, not to use them to extend his contract in the estate. He doesn't understand bribes and hands over a gift. She promises that she was just joking and didn't mean anything by it. The situation is difficult. People don't change overnight. No matter how peaceful the criminal may seem, Luna and Luca won't be trusted with her. The woman comes to the boys. It's time to wash and go to bed. Time to wash Lulu too. The baby will bathe with her. The bunny smells like his mother. He is afraid that the smell will disappear. The girl sits down. She understands everything. In her past life, when she was in 2nd grade, her mother left her, and she filled the refrigerator with food as if it were a parting gift. The baby couldn't touch the food until everything had spoiled. And later, her grandmother came and threw everything out, and that's when she cried for the first time. Hazel hugs the kids. They are still very small. They probably miss their mother, crossing the line. In the future, the girl asks to let me know if there's anything to throw out. The beauty wants to show her parental love. Luca has a request, he says. Tomorrow they will ask His Highness. In the morning, the mistress and gentleman are still quite sleepy. The Bible lessons are quite boring, and studying them does not bring any pleasure. The girl opens the plate. The stew, as usual, tastes simply wonderful. Hazel's dishes are comparable to quiet evenings in front of a warm fireplace, which warms the frozen body and soul on a cold winter day. Soon, the Duke realizes that there is silence in the refectory. The children are looking at him. They are completely repeating his movements. He wants to ask the witch a question. In response, he receives a sign for silence. Grinning, Elliot decides to eat cabbage, which the kids hate. Luna, without waiting long, with a disgusted expression on her face, swallows the vegetable and then shouts that she has won. The beauty claps her hands and praises. Taking her aside, the Duke learns about the competition to see who will best imitate his brother. Children initially learn by imitating adults. The gentleman's manners are impeccable. He was an excellent example. He will have to choose the winner, present the award, for example. Read a bedtime story. This is the nanny's job, except for when the young man is leaving. It would be great if they all spent a little time together before leaving. Elliot will try. The first winner was, of course, Lunabelle Blaine. The way she ate what she hated became a good example for all the noble children of the Empire. Luca was also a good boy. He didn't drop his fork once during the entire dinner, and he also plucked up the courage to try the cabbage. As a result, they both remain winners. Luna asks what His Highness is going to reward them with. Unable to decide on his own what to give, the young man asks what his brother and sister would like. Luca thinks and whispers in his ear. As a reward, they want to play with their brother. They invite him into the room. The game is not grand, just blankets hung around. It's time for another entertainment. The boy wants to be a witch, but his sister explains that it would be better for him to be a magician. The man thought that everything would be much worse, although it would be very humiliating for him to do something like this in front of the nanny. Luca is always trying to cuddle, and so is Lunabelle, who climbed onto my back and laughed while being rolled around. The man had not been so happy for a long time. The children were so tired that they immediately fell asleep. When they sleep, they look like angels. Elliot felt like the guys wouldn't want to spend time with him. On the contrary, they really liked him. But knowing he was busy, they didn't ask. While playing, the children noticed when Blaine looked out the window or at the clock, and they even suggested leaving early if he had a lot to do. Hazel reminds that although you shouldn't allow everything, you need to raise children with love, and there is no one to love except the Duke. The young man is not going to justify himself to the nanny. Snorting, the girl remarks that she has a magnificent painting. Would you like to buy it? He agrees to look and then decide there will be no opportunity to see. It's all in the girl's head. They say Hazel used to walk around in the guise of an old woman. It seems she has gone completely crazy since she considers an unpainted picture to be perfect. There is a type of people who claim to love, but do not show it in any way. After the expedition, the young man should change. The lady wanted to add a drop of luck to the pendant, but she thinks he won't need anything. She will pray to God for well-being. As Hazel leaves the room, she feels lighter, having said everything she planned, and the smell of soup comes from the kitchen. When they cooked with Harold, standing next to him and following the instructions, he still didn't achieve perfection. Everyone admitted that there was something special about the girl's stew. Green-Eyed also begins to notice oddities. She is the granddaughter of a restaurant owner with 45 years of experience. Since she came to another world, her skills have improved. It is impossible to know for sure whether this is the witch's ability. The main thing for her is that everyone enjoys it. The soul rejoices when everyone in the estate, including the servants, gobbles up the delicacies with both cheeks, although they initially kept their distance. There is a hubbub in the kitchen. No one knows whether it is due to magic or some kind of potion. There are no traces of any forces visible. It's time for Daniel to prepare for the sortie with the Archduke. The man is not listening. He is thinking about what traces should have been left. In any case, it is not at all safe. The young man has fulfilled his duty and asks to be allowed to take his leave. The girl appears at the door. She apologizes because she didn't want to eavesdrop. She came to check the ingredients. Before they told her anything, she runs away. It seems that since she heard everything, it's good that she left. Harold stops the maid's ridicule, asks her to watch her language. He did something stupid when he allowed the discussion. Hazel lies with her face buried in the pillow. Daisy doesn't believe her that everything is okay, because it's obvious that it is not. She is glad that at least she has pets. The Duke brought the girl with high hopes. He would hardly do anything that could harm the children. Everyone was kind to the nanny only because the Duke brought her. But in fact, the master doesn't believe her either. Even after the woman gave him a gift and cooked him a delicious meal, she continues to be suspected and feels lousy. Someone knocks. Harold is on the door. He apologizes, which is not accepted because he was simply taking care of the master's family members. The reason why the man couldn't cope was because of him. He repaid with a low act, although it was considered magnificent. Asking to raise her head, the lady accepts the apology, and she herself began to think about her hidden abilities. Hazel is considered truly beautiful, but accepting apologies in words is not quite right. They hand her a small present, 4 pieces that are in a box, obviously parts of some animals. In front of her are snake legs, and in his youth, Harold wandered throughout the empire in search of rare ingredients, and he managed to get them. The girl is given such a valuable thing, the witch will find a more valuable use for it. Besides, she clearly has a divine gift for cooking. It's quite late. The man is about to leave. Before that, Hazel offers to cook together again. They will both be looking forward to breakfast. The road ahead will not be entirely easy, but step by step, the girl will be accepted. In the morning, the kids see their brother off. Their behavior is completely different from usual. Luna is usually sarcastic, and Luca constantly cries, saying that his brother is bad. The kids are calm. They don't even ask for a gift. They just need the young man to come back and play with them again. Lunabelle is given instructions while her brother is not in the house. She remains in charge. The girl cries out in surprise. An hour before departure, the Duke discussed this with his nanny, and she asked that the position be entrusted to his sister. She will not be able to inherit the title. Due to political intrigue, it was decided to ban the appointment of women as heads of the family. She really likes to act like she's an adult. Even if she doesn't get the title, she still wants to at least try. While the Duke is away, she will become more serious and will feel proud that her brother believes in her abilities. The nanny was right. The young lady reacted with surprise, but with delight. She will become a role model for others. In a world ruled by intrigue and scheming, Lunabelle promises to restore justice to the house, and the Duke is pleased to hear it. Jumping on the horse, the blonde promises that he will return soon. After the expedition, he will spend much more time with the kids. At the first opportunity, the moon transforms her image. She wants to transform her behavior as well. She is going to take up chocolate distribution, although her brother warned her not to use power for her own interests. Disobeying, the brunette suggests that everyone be given a chocolate bar in honor of becoming the head. In that case, everyone in the duchy, including Lunabelle and Luca, will eat the chocolate. She acts like she's a genius. Even though the girl has started acting like an older brother, one thing remains the same. The kids enjoy eating lunch in the hut. Arwen can't get used to the closet. Only certain people can enter it. What hasn't changed is how Luna mocks others. She teases Sir Daniel and doesn't listen. Elliot always does this. She's just following his example. His manners are something to talk about when he gets back. Luke asks if they're going to eat fried rice. The night before, the kids caught the nanny on a late-night foray for food. The boys constantly ask for the same dish. No one knows about it, so the girl treats her charges. They never doubt Hazel's cooking. It's nice to dine in a small circle, and Arwen never resists food either. The little ones are sad to eat in the huge dining room. Although the girl was initially against them eating in the hut, they like to dine together. Perhaps His Highness will change it for a smaller one. Daniel suggests that they will try to convince their brother. The only question is whether he will listen. Arwen seems like a good person. When the master returns, they will definitely tell him. The lady remembers that this will have consequences. She promised that upon the young man's return, she would have to leave. She looks sadly at her charges. A detachment is moving in the west of the empire, planting a flag. The Duke points to the place where they will make camp. They need to prepare for departure in advance. The knights obey. The conversation turns to some love story connected with the gentleman. Some do not yet know that it is connected specifically with him. At every opportunity, the man looks at his medallion. His expression is peaceful. It is immediately clear that the thing was given to him by his beloved. Speculating, one of the knights suggests that inside is the porter of some aristocrat, while others think that, on the contrary, recently, a lock of hair has been placed in jewelry. In fact, Elliot misses the kids, hopes that everything is fine with them, and he wonders if the children realize how he feels and if they miss him. It's lunchtime, and being on the battlefield, it's impossible to refuse meals. The food is not tasty. It seems that, at the same time, the children are gobbling up the witch's delicious soup. The man completely forgets that the contract is ending and thinks about when he will be able to eat properly. He is distracted by a scream. A crying woman rushes to the knights, begging them to help find her children. It seems that they were kidnapped by man-eating wasps. It becomes uneasy. They feed on people. There is no doubt that they will feed the babies to their young, so that they grow faster. This gives hope that they are still alive and not eaten. Getting up, the Archduke asks his assistant to report. The reconnaissance group reports that the location of an entire swarm was found during the day. A search party is immediately ordered to be formed, and Elliot will take care of the children personally. He jumps on his horse and leads several people from the detachment right behind him. Traps are set near the suspected hive, and then, pointing their bow and arrows forward, the knight strikes the hive and orders fire to be opened, from which a swarm of wasps flies out. The operation is a success. All the monsters are killed due to the fire opened on them, and soon the children who were previously kidnapped are found, except for a couple of scratches. Everything is fine. His Highness takes the babies in his arms and is just about to go to their mother when someone shouts at him to move away, because the last wasp that did not die after all appears behind him. Before going to bed, Luca asks the nanny how many nights he needs to sleep so that his brother will return sooner. She can't answer because she heard that the return date has not yet been determined. They say that this will only be possible after the master drives out all the monsters from the forest. Originally, he was supposed to return by the full moon. 10 days have passed, and there is no news. Deciding not to give the boy false hope, Schwarzwald explains that his brother will return before the broccoli sprouts. He does not know that this will take 3 months. The little one is happy when he imagines how they will all pick and eat broccoli together. The blue-eyed one can't wait for this moment. The body lies on the ground until the knights help him up. A doctor needs to be called urgently. Elliot covered the child with his body, and he himself suffered from the ill-fated wasp. The uterus itself exploded in the air. The young man regretted it. He was hasty and used something he shouldn't have in front of others. The doctor tried to heal, reproaching, it would be terrible if the poison reached the heart. Smiling, the Duke notes that although there is not a scratch on his face, he enjoys imagining how the Crown Prince will grind his teeth in anger, because even in death, his face was preserved. He jokes that the gentleman will not have to see anything like that, because the poison did not reach the heart. The sting did not reach. Fortunately, it only touched the medallion that hung on the neck. The young man anxiously tears off the thing. He looks at the cracks that have spread in all directions. The photograph of the kids is also cracked. The blonde stands up abruptly. He shouldn't be making such movements, but he doesn't care. It's time to go home. I have a bad feeling about this. The nanny is trying to fight with the kids. She said several times that it was time to go to bed, but no one listens to her. Since the morning they have done a lot of chores. They worked in the garden, then studied, then played with Daisy. Despite this, they still have energy left. The woman uses light magic and lifts them into the air. She will send them to the room and read a fairy tale. Sitting up on her bed, Lunabelle grabs a book, declaring that she can read it herself. Her reading skills have improved recently, and she has become immersed in the world of fairy tales. The little girl reads the first pages. Luca immediately switches off. While she was reading, she herself is so tired that she's about to fall asleep. The book about Thumbelina is interesting. It started raining outside, which scared everyone in the room. Luca was almost crying and asked to sleep in Hazel's room. Their brother would be against it, but being alone was scary. With her nose in the air, the brunette declares that she is not afraid of anything. This is not typical of the head of the family. A new gust of wind makes her change her mind and hide under the blanket. Schwarzwald couldn't resist. She put the children to bed. It reminds her of the first day of meeting with the Archduke. She hopes that this time they will turn a blind eye to it. In the middle of the night, the maiden gets up. She can't get enough sleep. There's a battle outside. She assumes that the knights got drunk and started a duel at such an hour. The Virgin is about to report everything to Daniel, but she realizes that he is the one participating in the battle. Another man runs out of Lunabelle's room. His uniform does not belong to the Duke's house. Noticing the nanny, he rushes to her with questions about where the children are. Running into the room, the brunette manages to close the door. Arwen screams, asking her not to give up the kids under any circumstances. The green-eyed one has not yet fully woken up and does not understand what is happening. Only one thing is clear to her. First, Luna and Luca should hide. Having woken up the babies, the maiden takes out a bottle. They have gained weight, so she cannot carry them off alone. Magic will come in handy. Would you like some strawberry juice that will turn you into Thumbelina? The taste is not like juice. The potion works, and they become very small. The door is broken down with an axe. The man repeats his question about the whereabouts of the children. Hiding her hands behind her back, the woman declares that she knows nothing. She puts Luca and Luna in her pocket. She can no longer contain herself and her powers. The duchy is illuminated by a bright flash. For a moment it becomes so bright, as if it were already midday. The man looks around. Nothing has happened. He starts screaming again. He just opens his mouth, turns into a frog. Hazel throws him out into the street. Someone else's voices are heard behind him. Several more mercenaries enter the room, who immediately understand that it is the nanny in front of them. The woman is not going to tolerate this. She turns all the swords into sausages, thereby provoking Daisy and Lady to rush at them. She is incredibly angry because she spent a lot of energy trying to put the kids to bed. Realization dawns on her. Hazel promised herself that under no circumstances would she act like an evil witch, a promise she kept until the mercenaries ruined the situation. It's time for the girl to run. Lady and Daisy will take care of the rest. Without thinking twice, the green-eyed girl rushes away. Realizing that the children were very scared, the nanny is going to pretend that nothing happened. Luca is crying, and his sister just silently looks at the floor. Before sending the little ones back to bed, the lady places them on the table. She needs to create beds around delicious treats that are impossible to miss and not try. In a matter of minutes, the Virgo creates beds from walnut shells. She does not forget about blankets from petals. When they fall asleep, they will see pleasant dreams. The blankets smell nice. The children feel like they are sleeping in a flower meadow. Luca quickly goes to sleep, but it's more difficult for Luna. She's afraid that those scary guys will come again. They had already attacked once, both in a country house and at a birthday party. The little girl overheard the butler's conversation when she was little and almost suffocated because of the pillow that the nanny was holding. Finally, the girl understood why the children hated their previous nannies so much. It was heartbreaking to hear this from a 7-year-old. They needed someone they could rely on and trust completely. The master and mistress were not found in the room. There was a mess. Only a cat and a dog. The knights found out where the witch had disappeared. She was hiding in the closet, which she herself had transformed. Daniel had no idea the girl would use it this way. Upon the Archduke's return, they planned to immediately invite the mage and kick out Hazel. The commander goes into the closet. He will be alone with the woman, which surprises the squad. The man appears before Schwarzwald. She asks if they managed to catch all the scoundrels. She shows the children whom she shrunk and put to sleep in the shell. Changing in his behavior, Arwen becomes more respectful. He bows his head, promising that he will definitely report to His Highness about the feat that she accomplished. Thumbelina and the prince were almost kidnapped by evil toads, but the witch miraculously thwarted their plans. Elliot arrived at the estate, entering Luna's chambers. He cannot understand why everything around is in a terrible state. Things are turned upside down, and the family porter is lying broken on the floor. The girl hurries to ask why His Highness arrived so early. Without letting her open her mouth, he orders her to explain what happened. The children are nearby, and Daniel himself wants to explain the situation. Already in the morning, the assistant led the gentleman outside. He shows the tunnel. They did this in order to bypass the fence. The client is not afraid to play dirty. It does not take up their strength. From his appearance and manner of speech, it became clear that this was one of the mercenaries from the north. On the battlefield, the Duke had experienced many times how strong and cruel they were. Unlike the Knights of the Order, the guards and guardsmen had never had to deal with them, and yet Arwen managed to accomplish the incredible. He would like to accept the praise, but the credit is not his. If the witch had not been nearby, the squad would have stood before His Highness, not knowing what to do with themselves from shame for not being able to protect the children. I wonder why the young man managed to arrive early. The campaign against the monsters isn't over. He temporarily left the army under the command of his deputy. Intelligence didn't report the attack. The gentleman figured it out himself. The witch managed to pack her things and move everything with the help of magic. The green-eyed one feels terrible. She suggests that it is better not to say goodbye. The children will be sad. She suggests that she can leave a letter to explain. Elliot came into the room. He wanted to apologize for his behavior a little earlier. He rushed to conclusions and blamed the savior of Luca and Luna for everything. He does not know how it would be more appropriate to thank her for her help. The window is broken. Perhaps the young man came because he already knows everything. The witch promises to compensate for the damage. He does not need this. Schwarzwald was thinking of asking for an extension of the contract, but after what happened, she does not even have anything to say. The beauty thought that His Highness had delusions of grandeur and problems. Luna told her something that completely changed the concept. They tried to attack her repeatedly. It would be better for the mercenaries to attack openly, rather than stealthily, so that at least they could fight back. The witch hadn't heard the rumors, but Elliot's parents hadn't died of illness, as they pretended. They were in excellent health. There was no reason for such a sudden death. No poison was found. The lifeless bodies were found in Luca's room. He had recently turned 1 year old. The cause of death is unknown. So many years have passed, and nothing has been found out. The young man suspects that the murder was ordered. Being an immature 17-year-old boy, he was unable to protect them. One day, the man is destined to meet his end at the hands of a hired killer, but he promises himself that he will hold out at least until his younger brother is old enough to lead the family. The girl can't hold back her tears. Listening to all this is perhaps too much for her. She feels sorry for His Highness, because he too is still very young and deserved something more. She knows it's wrong to ask. Before leaving, Hazel would like to take a quick look at the chestnuts. She is refused without resistance. She nods and gets ready to leave. There is no point in staying any longer. The contract has expired, but despite this, she is stopped. The Archduke proposes to sign a new one, asks for a pen and paper, quickly writing down all his conditions, and hands over a sheet of paper. Hazel can't believe her eyes. She received a contract, not a list of rules to follow. Without thinking twice, she signs, glowing with happiness. Until the duchy no longer needs a nanny, the beauty promises that the kids will be bathed in her love and care. Elliot still can't understand. She liked the kids too much. Daniel is furious. He asks why the gentleman extended the contract. He doesn't yet know what the conditions are. The blonde doesn't listen. He promises that he will take care of the nanny himself, because this irritated the knight so much. The girl was right, that by getting their hands dirty, children boost their immunity. They play in the garden. She saved Luke and Luna. However, Arwen did not think that the man would be so easily broken. Elliot grins. He didn't think his subordinate liked babysitting so much. He could pass the news on to His Holiness. The man grins at the request not to say anything. The prisoners were ordered to be imprisoned and interrogated, but in reality, this was not necessary, because the traces of magic that were discovered match the magic used by the mages of the Crown Prince of the Empire. The attackers are connected specifically to him. For a full-fledged battle against his forces, support will be needed. The Duke's only allies are the Arwen clan, from where the first knight came. Public opinion is too susceptible to outside influence. The heir will most likely get away with it, in which case Elliot will be portrayed as a traitor. Gerald Valerian is at a reception with his father, where he is shouted at, accused of stupidity. Albert does not understand how it was possible to commit an attack without even consulting anyone. The Empress and Princess try to calm the Emperor down. Regina laughs, believing that her brother was born stupid, not by his own choice. Lorraine hisses at her daughter. The ruler toiled all his life to achieve at least something in this matter, but his son decided to ruin everything. Albert's ex-wife was a dark magician. With her help, the man secretly got rid of the heir to the throne. He even cast a curse on his family, preventing them from having a second heir. Everything went wrong when his wife died suddenly, and she could no longer help. Nobody wants to see Gerald as their emperor. He was chosen instead of Regina. It would be worth proving that the decision was made correctly. Albert knows that his son is compared to Elliot. The ruler had to refuse to nominate his daughter for the position of empress in order to prohibit women from inheriting the title and to interfere with the duke's plans with Luna. But a third was born, this time a boy. Blaine was constantly sent on various missions so that he would finally die, but he always returns victorious, alive and well. Regina is released, and Lorraine too. The conversation with his son will drag on. The girl tells the Empress that she is worried that Gerald has really gone crazy. He has nothing to boast about except his pretty face. She addresses the woman disrespectfully. "I completely forgot that you are no longer a servant." The lady is shaking with anger. She closes her eyes to this. It is enough that she managed to at least persuade her husband to deprive her of the right to inherit the crown. She would force Regina to repeat her mother's fate. All this time, the emperor himself was covering his tracks. If rumors spread, the whole family would come to an end. Gerald screams that he thought the witch would help them. She was on their side. He wanted to kidnap the boy with the help of a witch. He did everything to find out the location of the relic, which is kept by the Archduke, in which a powerful sacred power is hidden, capable of bringing the whole world to its knees. The prince should have known that the girl was always only on the side of money. She would never help those who did not pay her. Hazel came to check on the kids and how they were doing in the garden. One of the sprouts had grown a lot. The girl used up all the broccoli when the kidnappers attacked, so she planted something else. Rushing to the Duke, she asks him not to tell the children anything. Understanding at a glance, the blonde nods and explains that the soil was fertilized and the broccoli was given some treats. The heroine has just returned from the gardener, from whom she took everything she needed. The roots are eating the fertilizer. The children still don't understand how the structure works. Luke is given something tasty. He also wanted to eat fertilizer. At the last moment, they managed to convince him. For lunch, there is tonkatsu, a wonderful dish, which the Duke is skeptical about. Standing up, the girl picks up a plate containing a sauce that is specially prepared from crushed sesame and peanuts. Elliot is still against cabbage. Even poor people won't eat it unless they are dying of hunger. Lunabelle reminds them that they shouldn't be fussy at the table, and Luca joins in, reminding them that they need to eat everything that's prepared, as his brother taught them this. But he himself doesn't follow the rules. His Highness eats anyway, and the food is to his liking. As Hazel gets to know him better, she becomes convinced that Elliot seems like a rather interesting person. The man not only allows the young lady to leave the closet, but also allows her to go into his house. The downside was that from time to time, the young man's character made itself known. He is not exactly a pleasant person. Earlier, the girl offered to eat at her place once. At first he refused, but then he agreed. She asked him to check how safe it would be for them there. After dinner, the man did not want to admit that he liked everything. The girl was glad that there were no servants around, only a pleasant family atmosphere, until she was reminded that the nanny was not a member of the family. She didn't care. The air in the dining room of the Archduchy was too heavy. The room is huge, definitely not for 3 people. The children consider eating a dreary and unpleasant activity. The blame for this lies squarely on their older brother. The man remains silent. He does not agree with what was said. However, he is ready to eat in a smaller room for at least a week. The green-eyed woman enthusiastically promises that he will not be disappointed. As a token of gratitude, he is given a candy. Lately, work has been tough. On the monster hunt, the young man achieved what he set out for. Before he knows it, he'll be sent on another expedition. Luna has repeatedly said that she wants to attend the ball at the palace, but it seems the young man is against it. He doesn't say the reason. What's more important, he doesn't understand why Hazel talks to him like he's a little boy. The man seemed to notice that Schwarzwald was feeling sorry for him. She was about to leave when she stopped. Blaine wanted to add another rule to the contract, and a parchment and a quill appeared in his hands. From now on, physical contact with the employer is prohibited. Previously, the girl almost attacked him. The situation was urgent, and she could not control herself. The man said that he was not a child, but was behaving like a little one. He didn't have a set of rules, which meant the girl was going to do this. Hazel challenged him. He doesn't work in the Archduchy. The rules will be called for the big brother. Lately, the young man has been spending a lot of time with the guys. The constant stalking makes him look more like a security guard. All swearing is now prohibited. No caustic jokes. Luna has grown up, so she repeats everything after her elder. The blonde guy is being sarcastic again until a towel is thrown in his face. The manner of communication has a negative impact on the children's learning process. Peace and quiet reigned in the Archduchy for a very short time. The carriage returns back to the estate. There is too much snow outside. Hazel cannot relax, afraid that she will hurt Elliot. The man said that they would arrive soon, each time repeating that there were only 6 hours left. It was the 4th day since they got into the carriage. They had no choice, because the family was heading to the capital, only a day left until the new year. The rules are that on the first day after the new year, all the high aristocracy gathers at the imperial palace for a large celebration known as the New Year's celebration. For safety reasons, the children couldn't even go outside while they were traveling. The woman suggested writing a story, at least to have some fun, each adding one sentence to the story they had started earlier. The Black Forest begins. A long time ago, in a dark forest, there lived a husband and wife, and they had a son and daughter, Hansel and Gretel. The family was poor. The parents abandoned the children all alone in the forest. The Duke intervenes and continues by saying that the man and woman were reported to the relevant authorities for failure to fulfill their duties. This is just a fairy tale. It is too harsh. Luca begins to cry. The plot does raise questions, and Hazel was curious about what Hansel and Gretel would look like if they were created by people from a reimagined world of the same fairy tale she was telling. Luna wants to be next. The children didn't want to live with their parents anymore, so they left home. The brother nods. They met a witch in the forest, and she gave them a delicious carrot cake, and then they all lived happily ever after. Realizing that the game has gone wrong, the brunette turns away and suggests choosing something else. At that moment, the coachman announces that the characteristic clatter of the Yeti is heard nearby. They are nearby. There are supposedly only 2 to 3 of them. By order of the Duke, they are calling Victor, and the carriage will be sent away somewhere far away. It will not be difficult to deal with them. The miss and the children will remain inside while Elliot decides everything. As soon as the young man draws his sword, a bright light illuminates everything around. This is an aura or sacred power, more like a barrier. Hazel understands that she will not be able to get out if her help is suddenly needed. The green-eyed girl feels angry. The children understand everything and calm down. Blaine promised that he could handle everything easily. There was no point in doubting. The brunette also believed him. However, it was difficult to fight 2 Yetis of enormous size at once. The girl can't take her eyes off the battle. Luca and Luna continue their word game. She gets the word see because the last one is interest. She chuckles, wondering if the Duke was always this cool. Soon, several knights arrive and help deal with the aftermath, which takes much longer than dealing with the monsters, and His Highness is finally more relaxed. The children jump out of the carriage ahead of time. The barrier does not stop them at all. Hazel cannot get out. The sacred power is in the way. She asks the coachman to call the children back. When Elliot broke into the witch's house with his subordinate, she felt the same power. Holy and magical powers are similar in nature, but their action is directly opposite to each other. Those with holy power can pass through the barrier. Those without energy cannot pass. Hazel will not be able to use magic while they are on the road. Fortunately, nothing else is threatening. The Yetis were simply hungry. That's why they attacked. The maiden turns and meets the Duke's gaze again. She freezes because she feels the carriage shaking. There are more Yetis on the roof. They all rush forward at once. If the horses run away, she is finished. The heroine feels that this will not end well. The knights did not have time to pick up their weapons. The monster will smell blood and rush towards the children. Only the witch can fight him, having sunk her claws. The monster was distracted by the sacred power. Without wasting a second, the woman uses magic. She calculated, provoked an explosion. She saved the children. The carriage flies down the cliff. She is not afraid. She hopes that she will return. The main thing is that it does not fall on the rocks. She was lucky. As she was about to get out, the heroine sees someone offering her a hand. The Yeti is buried under snow. Elliot is again in her debt for saving the kids. They were very scared. They will be calmer when the nanny returns to them. The man helps her up. Nothing happens. A scream comes out of her throat. He didn't pull hard enough. The nanny seems to have twisted her ankle. She won't be able to move herself. She doesn't know healing magic. Because of the holy power, the girl was unable to get out. It seems that everything was lost, and she calmly comes out. The horses ran away when the reins came into contact. The only option is to carry them in her arms. The woman claims she's incredibly lucky, that there's no ban on physical contact with the employer. The blonde guy won't add a ban on making fun of the employer, but he still gets her up. The girl almost falls. It is better to clasp her neck with her hands, otherwise her face will hit the ground. She has never been carried like this. This is the reason why she did not understand what to do next. The young man's neck is red from the frost. His shirt is not completely dry. They ask him why he is without a jacket. Hazel carefully tries to straighten his collar. She has already been asked not to treat the Duke like a child. The lady, as if she is not afraid of anything, since she behaves as she pleases. They are almost there. The night is calming the kids. It is cold outside, so a cape is thrown over their backs. Luna turns first and sees her brother holding the girl in his arms. The little girl asks what's going on, and when she hears about a leg injury, she immediately orders a doctor to be called to have him examined. Elliot isn't in any pain, and he'll never admit it if he gets hurt, so as not to worry the children. The girl doesn't need this. She heals her ankle on her own. Everything has already passed, and she gets up with ease. Hazel is asked to sit with the children in the carriage. The repair of the carriage will take some time. The knights report that they will go ahead to the village. They will return as soon as they complete the full repairs. They will have to spend the night nearby. The Duke lets go of Hazel's hand and asks them to leave. The young man was already quite grown up. When he returned from the raid, a rumor began to spread that he had broken ribs. Upon hearing this, they brought him a healing potion, which he did not refuse, but asked to keep everything a secret. The young man is coping with the role of an adult. After the death of his parents, he did everything in his power to make everything good, but something about the brunette is bothering him, and he seems very lonely. There was a tavern nearby. All the knights were inspired. They were served food. Luke did not eat. He asked when their brother would come. He was hungry, but did not want to start the meal without a full complement. The desire to share delicious food with another person is true love. The girl tries to explain that Blaine went to talk to the innkeeper, said that they can start without him, so that everything doesn't get cold. The children cannot be left alone for a second. Lately, they have been eating excellently, both what Mr. Harold has prepared and something new, like in a tavern. They have tasted all the delights of the variety of tastes and textures. Finally, Elliot is free. He comes in and immediately asks how the children are eating. It's snowing outside. Victor declares that the gentleman is obliged to have a drink with them. Hazel is also offered, and she refuses, because she doesn't know how to drink in moderation. Sir Victor is also an aristocrat, but he doesn't observe etiquette when pouring alcohol into mugs. The knights drink. Even the Duke himself takes some for himself. The green-eyed one can't bear to look at him. He could star in an advertisement. The young man is covered in snow. The lady thinks she could shake it off. The ban on touching is not lifted. She tries to blow it away, turning sharply. The blonde man menacingly asks what she is doing. Still, having decided to take pity, he takes off his outer clothing. He is not going to thank for the help. They should be grateful to him for allowing the snow to be shaken off his clothes. Luna claims that Daniel should have seen this. Arvin is not around. According to the owner, the Supreme Pontiff's motorcade was attacked by Yetis at night. The knight was sent to check how serious the situation was. He was sent because of his direct connection with the temple. The man had previously served the pontiff, worked as a paladin, and those holy powers that the maiden had previously felt in the carriage and in her house belonged to him. Everything falls into place. Elliot asks not to tell Daniel about this. Sometimes he forgets that the witch herself is in front of him. She does not judge, because she herself often forgets about it. The powers seem alien. After dinner, it's time to go to rest. The guys get up in search of their room. The maiden opens the room and immediately closes it. The Duke stood in front of her. She embarrassedly asks where they should go. The housekeeper informs that as far as she knows, all the other places are occupied. They will sleep in one place. She is surprised, asking if they wanted to put their son and daughter separately. The man is the angrier of all. It's understandable with him, but the nanny doesn't look like the children at all. The green-eyed one is calm. She thinks that it was impossible not to take them for family, considering that there were children with the adults. The girl understands that her clothes stand out. They specially made something for her that differs from the servants' clothes. They sewed a lot of dresses that would be too much for a noble lady to wear. Nights pass by. They will sleep in a room a little further down the corridor. The heroine asks if they have a free place. Then they declare that they are ill, snorting. The Duke takes them and leaves. Luca is almost asleep, but Luna refuses. She wants to celebrate the new year. But while putting them to bed, the heroine thinks about what to cook for herself. Since she got to the new world, she celebrated the holiday with Daisy and Lady. Virgo misses her animals. Although they are most likely having a great time with the butler, free time is a rare occurrence, so the heroine decides to learn spells. The last chapter of the book is Sensory Transition. The degree of difficulty in performing this magic depends on the level of complexity of the object on which the transition is directed. There is too much information. Everything is swimming before her eyes. She almost falls asleep when she hears a loud crash behind the door. Throwing it open and running out onto the veranda, Hazel freezes. Angels are flying in the sky. The Duke comes out and says that this is a good sign. It seems that His Holiness is safe. The pontiff sent them. The lady remembers that he had such abilities. In the morning they will go to the capital. The heroine asks if the man is afraid for the children when the knights are sleeping. The blonde explains that there is nothing to be afraid of because he is nearby and the witch is too. Everyone is asleep. This moment cannot be missed. Elliot comes back in and comes out with a bottle of wine. He pours some. The nanny is no longer at work. No excuses. The brunette agrees. They congratulate each other on the new year. The drink has an incredible taste, containing not only wine, but also apples, cinnamon, and other spices. It brings a smile to the girl's face. The first alcohol she's ever tried turns out to be wonderful. The amazing thing is that Hazel knows a lot, but at the same time she doesn't understand simple things. She is an amazing person. Just thinking about her makes your head spin. The Curia, headed by the Supreme Pontiff, is located among the steep cliffs. The ceremony is traditionally held in the capital, accessible to all aristocrats, in a noisy and festive atmosphere. The heads of all the high families gather together. Everyone who has gathered to meet with Her Holiness passes through the main gallery. There was an order that the nanny with the children should enter the hall first. The Duke forgot about it. As soon as he finished with the greetings, the three must go forward. The blonde is met by someone they have not seen since last year. The lady, as before, bestows her love only on the chosen ones. It may seem that the pontiff prefers Elliot. This is not so. The girl hates him. Smiling, she goes out and, ignoring the gentleman, approaches Daniel. He kisses his hand. They lead the two of them into the hall. The lady begins asking questions. First of all, she asks how Arvin is doing. The gentleman intervening explains that he pays him well, although at the temple the salary was also decent. The lady heard a rumor that Blaine hired a terrible witch as a nanny. Either there was a mistake in the rumors, or someone still has problems with their head. Judging by what the pontiff saw, Hazel is not suspicious. The only thing the lady noticed was that the outfit was completely different from what is usually given to nannies. The head maid made a mistake with the order. The man said that this time, he decided to take his younger children to dinner at the palace. A well-guarded castle is the safest place. Her Holiness has enormous power. No one would dare attack children. The woman is terrified. She asked about something else. It remains to be seen how everything goes. Before the official reception, the nanny teaches the children how to behave properly if they are nervous. At the debut, everything must be perfect, without a single mistake. The Duke's endless lectures have come to an end. Going down, the gentleman again repeats that the rules must be followed. There is no more time. As the nanny, the girl received permission to be near the table. Albert III Valerian arrived. Over the past year, everyone in the room has repeatedly shown their devotion. The man sees that his precious nephews are nearby, for whom he has prepared special dishes, and he asks that at the end, the plates remain empty. A vegetable salad is served as an appetizer, and the children gobble it up, causing a gasp of surprise to ring out throughout the room. They used to be fussy at the table, but they were lucky their nanny taught them to eat healthy. The maiden hoped that the next dish would be just as good, but her joy vanished. As soon as the lid was removed from the plate, there were snails on the plate. The green-eyed one wanted to get angry. The emperor did it on purpose. While reminding the boys what to do, she watches as Luca forces himself to swallow a snail and eats sausage. The teleportation magic worked successfully. She liked the dish. It was high quality. What they serve next makes the girl grimace. She quietly asks if the Duke likes to eat. He is disgusted, so she agrees to exchange it for sausages. Beef offal ends up in her mouth. For her, a true pleasure. All attention is focused on Gerald. He is being criticized for spitting out food. He is trying to explain himself. The atmosphere in the room is tense. The puzzle is gradually coming together. The imperial family plays the role of antagonist. His Majesty goes outside to get some air. The menu was clearly planned by Regina, who decided to mock everyone by forcing them to either refuse food or feel ill. Hazel goes outside for a minute. She is lucky to meet the prince. If he knew what she was like, he would not have sent the servants, but would have visited himself. The lady does not want to get involved in a conversation and tries to say goodbye. The man cannot restrain himself and shouts, asking why they did not help him. It seemed that the lady had initially penetrated the Duke for his sake. The assistant calms him down and takes him away. Do not say anything unnecessary. At the event, people keep approaching the children to ask if it's true that they have an evil witch as a nanny. One of the boys is particularly displeased and skeptical. Luna is not ready to accept the way she is being addressed. She asks for her last name. Someone dared to argue with the Duke's family. Hazel arrives in time to the noise. Luca rushes to her and explains the whole situation. She creates beautiful cookies and asks how an evil witch would make something like this. Blaine runs forward and asks not to waste food on someone who was rude. The blue-eyed man snorts. "Well, no need. I have a baker in the estate." Two figures start moving. They act out a scene from Cinderella. For Schwartzwald to do something similar is easy peasy. The boy cannot restrain himself and still takes one of the pieces, bites off a piece. A voice behind her is dissatisfied. The children are so spoiled that the Duke needed a witch to fix them with witch's spells. Her Highness is standing next to her. Luna is behaving correctly. She bows her head, but objects. The woman understands why all the previous nannies ran away. The child is not at all cute. Hazel thinks that this is too much. The girl has completely wilted, using force. The girl smirks. No one is allowed to mock children. On the way back, the Duke is persuaded to give the sister and brother a reward. They ate everything, and for the first time were in a public place. They did not make a single mistake, remained calm throughout the entire time. Agreeing, the young man promises to fulfill any conditions. Luca immediately asks for a lot of chocolate and to sleep with Hazel. He has only one wish. Lunabelle sits silently and examines her hands. It's dangerous to stand up while moving, but the nanny hugs the baby and declares that she's beautiful. Everyone has their own definition of cute, and she can't compare herself to her brother. Sadness does not leave the body when the girl asks how Her Majesty understands. Perhaps she was spoken to too rudely, so the lady left an unpleasant comment. "You can receive love without this." Hoping for this, the brunette asks if she will be able to please the imperial family, just like her older brother. Interfering, Elliot explains that he is not liked either. The complicated story will be told at an older age. Grandma's words are forever stuck in her head. There is no need to suffer because someone doesn't love you. It's the problem of the person who doesn't care. Luna tries not to be sad. Still interested in the past connected with Gerald, the lady uses a sensory transition spell. This time she succeeded. The prince discusses with someone how much news he tells the witch. She already knows a lot. The prince's subordinate is worried that the girl has defected to the Archduke's side. She can sense holy power. This is the reason why Gerald spoke to her. The young man wanted to ask where in the duchy the relic was, but it was all in vain. She was too captivated by the man's beauty, so she simply looked at the floor. In her opinion, Elliot was much more handsome. The children did nothing wrong. Blaine's popularity will continue to grow, and because of his sister, the gentleman was disgraced. He wants to get rid of their family the same way he got rid of their parents. At the wrong time, he notices the cookies. The connection is broken. Hazel is afraid that she has learned too much. There is a knock on the door. The Duke asks if everything is all right. He came to thank her for a good dinner. The nanny is skilled. No one has ever managed to do what she did. This deserves a reward. This time the lady wants something. It is different from what she said earlier. Nevertheless, she will be listened to. Coming closer, the heroine enthusiastically declares that she will forever be the Archduke's man. She has done nothing wrong. She is afraid that she might be misunderstood. She grabs Elliot's hand, repeating that it is important for her to gain trust. The green-eyed girl becomes serious and says that the imperial family is behind everything. Her surprise knows no bounds, because Blaine already knows everything. He pretended to protect Hazel and did not completely trust her. She was asked not to interfere in this matter. She did nothing. The crown prince appeared out of nowhere and told everything. He thought that the witch could help him. He told about the sacred relic and asked where it was. There is nothing like this in the duchy. People from Gerald's chamber attacked based on rumors, even during the life of the duchess, constantly trying to find out if there was a relic among her jewelry. She was a saint. What Hazel learned is forbidden to be told, even to children. Only Daniel and the captain of the guard know about it. Elliot is again indebted to the girl. The detection magic is controlled by a wizard close to Gerald. The witch cast sensory passage magic on the cookies. This is a high-level spell, so they did not suspect anything. The Duke doesn't understand how the heroine uses high-level magic. While not knowing basic healing magic, they should leave the capital as soon as possible. If Hazel knew the details, she would tremble with fear all day while in the palace. Not understanding how one can be calm about those who killed Elliot's parents, the nanny asks a question, reminding him that this is an address as if he were a child. He goes out, wishing good night. The illness crept up unnoticed. It all started because of the chestnuts. Luca got sick and cried that he wouldn't eat without a nanny. He also refused to take the medicine. And because of his stubbornness, the girl got infected. The first thing she does is go to the house for some painkillers, and almost immediately she feels better. It feels strange to be alone in the empty house. with Lady and Daisy looking after the children. The stomach is growling, "I'm hungry. I want to eat porridge with shrimp." They are in the Duke's kitchen. The girl rushes to the door to go there and ask for food. Under the door, there is a postcard from the kids. There's still a package outside, lemon candies and healing boosters inside. They're worth a fortune. Feeling even more joy, Hazel finally heads to the kitchen. There's no one there. Deciding that this would actually be to her advantage, she begins preparing the dish. A pleasant aroma fills the air, and once cooking is complete, all that remains is to add the secret ingredient: hand-squeezed oil from roasted sesame seeds, handmade. Adding a drop, the girl jumps in surprise. The door opens. The Duke asks what is happening. A sick person must stay in bed. She explains that she is hungry. The man calmly asks her to say what she cooked and go on vacation. He is also interested in the cooking process. She is sent back, with the promise that as soon as the dish is ready, it will be delivered. Finally, there is a knock at the door. Elliot himself brought the porridge. He should have sent the maid. Instead, he took everything into his own hands. The food is still hot. Despite this, the maid immediately begins to eat. This dish was always cooked by my grandmother, so the best memories are associated with it. The Duke also remembers how his mother made him soup. To try it again, he would have to get sick again. When asking about the ingredients, the girl remembers everything. She hopes that the man will not feel bad, but if something happens, she promises to make him soup. After finishing her meal, Hazel feels relieved. Checking her forehead, Elliot realizes that the girl still hasn't taken the medicine. It was he who brought it. The nanny is taking care of others. It's time for her to accept help, too. The young man doesn't remember the last time he accepted help from someone, all out of a sense of duty. It's easier to survive the illness alone. And wishing for a speedy recovery, he leaves. Time flies. The illness subsided, and as a month passed, a stork flew to the girl, bringing mail. A few days ago, Luca asked how children are born. He was told about the stork. Luna countered, being older. She stated that babies were made when a man and a woman slept together, imagining this happening to Elliot and Hazel. The letter the messenger brought contained an offering to the Annual Association of Magicians. After the performance at the palace, the witch nannies became quite popular, and the unemployment problem was resolved. They thanked Schwarzwald for everything, and even gave her a reward, offering her the opportunity to become an honorary member for free. There were also dissatisfied mages. Initially, the Duke had paid a deposit, which led to the invitation. The children arrived and immediately started asking to go on a picnic. They took everything they needed with them. Elliot was also with them. During the walk to the place, Hazel collected herbs. Because of this, they went a little far. They are happy. Luke sees a flower he has never seen before. Elliot allows him to go pick it, but asks not to go too far and not to get lost. The weather is beautiful outside, and on the way back, Hazel is asked to make a wreath. The maiden creates a wreath and also a ring. She feels the Duke's strange gaze on herself. Turning around, she asks if he has any business. He usually has a lot of paperwork in his office, whole mountains of documents. Always answering that he trusts the nanny, the man still came to spy. He denies that it is completely useless. He says that he wants to spend more time with the younger ones, but all he does is spy. He came to protect the boys, like a guard. The forest is dangerous in that case. It would be more logical if he walked with him, and not sat with folded arms, with a serious expression on his face. The young man asks, "Don't you like me?" She didn't mean it that way. Teasingly, he asks if she likes it. Realizing that the situation is not entirely comfortable, the lady looks away, and no longer trying to justify herself, calmly replies that, as a duke, he is a good man. It started to rain. I had to hide in the nearest place, which turned out to be a strange, half-destroyed place. The clouds were too thick, most likely. This was not a short-term rain. The drops were larger. Hazel was the wettest of all. The young man threw his outerwear over his trembling shoulders. The place is somewhat reminiscent of the main temple. Lunabelle suggests playing pontiff. Luca asks what the pontiffs do. They mock the cousins. Giselle is Elliot's cousin. They hold funeral services, a charity ceremony, and also hold wedding ceremonies. The girl proposes to make Blaine the groom, and Schwarzwald the bride, declares them husband and wife, and asks to kiss as a sign of an eternal vow. She doesn't agree to a handshake or a kiss on the hand. It's child's play, they can refuse, but nevertheless they get closer. The rain saves the situation. It's over, they can go out. The lady can control the weather. She succeeded for the first time. The boy asks if Schwarzwald would like a younger brother or sister. If she marries the Duke, they will all become a family. The man puts an end to the conversation by saying that people like him would never marry a witch or a nanny. Marriage among aristocrats is a political tool. People usually marry not for love, but according to contracts between families. Blaine is marrying by contract. Like everyone else, their family needs the support of others. Hazel agrees with this. She also does not intend to marry, and especially not the Duke. The children are unhappy. Although in her place, Luna would not marry such a man. She thinks the girl likes Elliot when he fought the Yeti. Looking out the window, she froze, asking if he was always so cool. Her face turns red. The girl is asked not to tell anyone about this. A letter arrives from the Crown Prince. Everything is going according to plan. He will take part and be present at the ball. It is hard to believe that the main character will honor it with his presence. At this point, half of the plan will be completed. Daniel is confident that they will finally be able to stop the Imperial family, who are so diligently trying to find the sacred relic. Looking at the green seal on the Imperial letter, the young man remembers Hazel. In fact, the event is organized to find a suitable match. Many already think that the gentleman is late. It's an excuse to maintain his reputation, but Daniel advises taking a closer look. This is also a great chance to put an end to all the rumors that the man is having a relationship with a witch. If the rumors spread further, it will have a bad effect on the marriage negotiations. Hazel should be kept away during the ball. Elliot nods. There was no need to say anything, because he already knows everything. The main characters arrive on time. Gerald is, of course, the first. When the gentleman first met Schwarzwald, she assumed that he was the children's father. He didn't look that old. He just skipped meals and suffered from lack of sleep. It was better for him. He would easily find a partner. The Crown Prince greets the Duke with a handshake. Behind him stands the one who should be introduced. Smiling, the girl says that her name is Bella Monette. Bowing, they kiss his hand. Hazel was heading towards the children when she was stopped by three strangers. One of them immediately began to angrily accuse the witch of being up to something and daring to approach the Duke. She would never become his wife. The title belonged to Bella. They are ready to tear her to pieces for any little thing. At the New Year's dinner, she was too close to the master. It's all about her clothes. Only ladies wear such things. The heroine knows that this is the head maid's mistake. However, she advises to address all questions directly to the Duke. Even in a quarrel, she cannot be defeated. The girls remain dissatisfied. They have nothing more to say. Luna asks when they will go see the fireworks. It is already late, and the song has started. Sitting down, the nanny apologizes for being so busy and losing track of time. Little ones shouldn't be in the main hall. The heroine decides to quickly find the gentleman, not understanding where he is, approaches Victor to ask if he is dancing with Bella. They really are the perfect couple. Lady Manette is perfect for the Archduchess's place. Her face blushes. She lightly pats herself. The girl tries to restrain herself. She is going to light fireworks and asks to look after the children. The knight assures that there is no need to rush. There are still 2 to 3 songs left. Hazel didn't come in vain. She can dance at least once. She doesn't know how. Someday she will have to learn. The day has come, and the children will be handed over to Daniel, who of course is against it. A hired worker can't break the rules. Victor continues to convince that everything will be fine, but you can't get close to the Duke. Grabbing the girl by the hand, he pulls her forward. The brunette is doing it well. As if it wasn't her first time dancing, she was just repeating the movements of a good teacher. As soon as she managed to say this, she immediately steps on the foot. The knight laughs. The first time he trampled all of his partner's feet. They are interrupted by someone no one expected to see. The Duke notices that the girl even has her shoelaces untied, laughing nervously. The red-haired man wants to leave. The girl will have a wonderful teacher, to whom he is not even fit to hold a candle. The girl also runs away. She was lucky that she managed to leave in time, but if she had stayed there, she would have become as dissatisfied as all the girls. The brunette is getting ready to go to the fireworks. While going down, she catches on her shoelaces, realizing that she will fall. Closing her eyes, the heroine does not feel pain. She is grabbed by the waist. Turning around, she sees Elliot. He warned her to look under her feet. Lowering himself, he ties his shoes, asks if Hazel is okay. The man has no intention of returning to the hall. He came to prove that he teaches better than Victor, so that his reputation won't be damaged. The outfit isn't quite suitable for dancing, although he doesn't see a problem. Extending her hand, the lady freezes. In her head, she hears the cries of aristocrats who condemn her, remind her where the nanny's place is. Feeling a strange sensation, the maiden asks for forgiveness and leaves. The Duke must dance with someone equal to him, but not with the witch, because in a fairy tale the witch is only a secondary character, not the main heroine. Elliot is not for Hazel. She will not be able to get close to him. Multicolored fireworks are visible in the sky, captivating the eye. The spectacle makes the children gasp with delight. The Duke recalls his conversation with Daniel. After the dance, the Duke of Monette approached him with a question. Despite all the warnings, the young man intervened again and went to the witch. He himself did not understand why he did what he did. He only remembers that he saw her dancing and smiling at another man. It would have been better if she had cast a love spell. Arwen reminds Blaine that he has a duty. His family needs an alliance, a family that does not have imperialistic views, that would not lose either military or financial power. The Duke of Monette's daughter is a suitable candidate. Hazel attributed too many character traits to the boy that he did not have. It seemed like she hated him. However, at that moment, before running away, the expression on her face said that she was in love. Throwing away unnecessary thoughts, he convinces himself that Luna misunderstood everything when she saw the witch's admiration. A rabbit appears in the sky. Lowering his gaze, the young man sees the girl casting a spell. The ball is not over yet. However, the knights are throwing out all the guests. The sacred relic that was in the Duke's estate has disappeared. He frantically tries to understand who is behind this, orders a list to be made of everyone who managed to leave the estate. Jumping onto his horse, he first hurries after the crown prince's carriage, and when he gets there, he orders him to get out immediately. The man talks about the sacred relic that the emperor has set his sights on. Carrying out the plan turned out to be easier than entertaining the kids. Gerald was simply delighted. When he learned that the thing existed, he did not try to hide the fact that he was hunting for it, despite the fact that the army was present as witnesses. Realizing too late what he had gotten himself into, the young man denied everything to the very end. It was so obvious that it looked pathetic. The emperor would never get his hands on the relic, since it was Elliot himself. While putting the children to bed, the girl listens to enthusiastic praise for how skillfully she made a bunny out of fireworks. She promises that she will make something similar for their birthdays. Realizing that they themselves do not want to sleep, the children ask Hazel to stay with them. The Duke never allowed this. Because of his stubbornness, he never had a girlfriend or a wife, although it seems that this will happen soon. Luna and Luca haven't heard of Lady Monette. She's from a wonderful family. She could possibly become a future wife, and besides, she's perfect for Elliot. The girl thinks that Hazel is more suitable, and besides, he likes her. Blushing, the girl insists that this is not true, that they simply treat her well, and that she hopes that the children will become friends with Bella. They are against it, because if Schwarzwald marries their brother, they will finally be able to become a full-fledged family. When Hazel was asked if she had feelings for Elliot, she couldn't answer. People are shameless. A year ago, the girl dreamed of at least one friend. Her appetites grew. Going out into the corridor, she runs into the one she was thinking about. At first, the blonde is silent, looking down at the floor. He declares that he wants to apologize for his behavior at the banquet, which was indecent. The green-eyed girl assures him that she should be grateful because she was saved from falling. The young man has nothing more to say. In this case, the nanny goes into the room, asks him to rest, almost disappearing behind the door, suddenly says that the children wanted to sleep with her. I hope you will review the rules when you have time. Once, while in South Korea, the girl met some idol's fans. They were crazy about his appearance and performances. She wants to calm her mind and thinks that she has the same thing with the Duke. They won't be together anyway. Fandom is not a thing that lasts forever. She came into it, and it will go back. It will be easier to stop noticing Elliot. Then the number of awkward moments will noticeably decrease. The first thing the young man did after learning about the existence of the relic was to come to his father. The emperor asked what it looked like, but he would not receive an answer. Gerald should not have been sent to the ball. It was no use. The man cannot trust his son. Every time he is entrusted with something, nothing works out. The empress intervenes and tries to add that the existence of the relic seems to be true. After that day, the archduke went into seclusion. This doesn't suit him. After the New Year's celebration, the young man's reputation in high society only grows. The imperial family is doomed. Regina suggests an idea. The archduke could not be plunged into a critical situation. It makes sense to try to do the same with the duchy. With a grin, Albert orders that all the palace magicians be immediately summoned. With the arrival of the new year, a strange force began to be felt in the duchy. Swamp monsters began to appear in the forest, which had never had swamps before. This is definitely suspicious. The problem involved other monsters as well, not only those that had long been exterminated, but also species that had not previously inhabited the area. If they learned of what they considered a sacred relic, the power hidden within Elliot, they would treat him like a mongrel. Energy will have to be used only in extreme cases. Hazel went to help. For her, this is an excellent opportunity to put into practice all the spells she learned. The children are busy lately. They have more tasks now, so the guys are constantly studying. The attacks from the imperial family have stopped. Everything is going well. The lady will be uncomfortable living in the camp, so she does not plan to spend the night. According to her plan, the girl is going to arrive in the mornings and return to the estate at night. She cannot say that she will pass through her hut. Only she and the Duke know about this. I am a witch. I can move. His Highness is distracted and stops listening to Daniel. He asks what it is like to look really handsome. Someone said that the man is too handsome, as if he is not real at all. One lady said this and made him think. The day is quickly coming to an end. The Duke gives the command to set up camp. The maiden watches as the knights quickly set everything up. One of them forgot to take some ingredient from the warehouse. The nanny wants to help. The squad is happy that thanks to the nanny, they don't have to worry about dinner. They are quickly brought down from the sky to the ground. Elliot reminds them that Hazel is not an army cook. They will still be cooking. The brunette returns with a saucepan. A stew is planned for dinner. She scolds the young man for his irresponsibility and is just about to say something else when one of the men from the squad runs up, frightened, and calls the gentleman to come and see what happened. Following the night, the man sees a cave in front of him. At first glance, it seems unremarkable, but as he goes further, something is wrong. Looking at the ground under his feet, Elliot notices a magic circle. The man led the gentleman in and didn't tell him right away, so that the information wouldn't leak out. The lines of the circle had been drawn very recently, and it would be impossible to figure it out without Miss Hazel. Daniel immediately realized that it was the work of the imperial family. Albert doesn't even hide the fact that he's trying to get his hands on the sacred relic. He's deliberately trying to provoke the Duke to reveal its location, and it's lucky the witch is helping. Hazel quickly figures out that the nature of the magic circle is teleportation, but one cannot tell where the second one is and where exactly it is transporting. The spell is created on the model of higher magic. A detailed study of the information will take a considerable amount of time. First, Virgo plans to transfer the drawing to paper and try to interpret it. If she manages to understand the principle of operation, she needs to prepare equipment for the search. The green-eyed girl asks to wait a little longer, since it is enough to simply draw such an object. It is unknown how dangerous the place of movement may be. A squirrel appears from somewhere. In an attempt to catch it, the girl rushes into the circle, followed by the Duke. The movement happened completely unexpectedly. It comes from a certain word. The heroine tries to pick the right one. They throw her a blade. The young man takes off his armor. They are quite far from the camp. In the morning they entered the forest from the southwest, but since Candlebon is close, it means they are in the northeast. It is starting to get dark. They will not be able to get back before sunset. They have no transport. The man looks at the situation soberly. They should start looking for a place to spend the night. Footprints are visible in the distance. They are fresh, which means they could belong to the owner of the magic circle. They will follow them. This is luck. Unless some trouble arises, monsters suddenly appear, or if shelter cannot be found, they will have to spend the night right in the forest. The young man silently walks forward. They come across a hut that is 2 meters away from them. Opening the door, she is disappointed because everything around is destroyed. The roof is broken. The night wind will blow mercilessly. Finding something to rejoice about, the maiden notices that the fireplace is intact. With the help of magic, she makes a fire. They won't freeze or die of hunger because the heroine carries food. The blonde laughs. He's lucky to have gotten lost in the forest with the witch. As a sign of gratitude, he'll try to put the hut in order. The brunette decides that she will do everything herself. In addition to preparing a wonderful dinner, she cleans up, trying the dish. The young man repeats that he was surprised again. Each time the food turns out even better than the previous time. The taste is excellent. While joking happily, the boys finally begin to understand the situation they are in. They are lucky that the conditions for spending the night are excellent, but they have never been alone together before. The heroine notes that the Duke must be uncomfortable sitting on the bare floor. He has a high status, but the man doesn't see a problem because the hut has been cleaned. Usually, influential people try to sit in impeccably clean, elevated places. There's definitely something wrong in his life because of all the places he's sat during the expedition. The floor is the cleanest. The man asks a question in response. She's fine, but the Duke's position seems uncomfortable. The way the young man sits evokes nostalgia. In his school years, if a student was late, he would take a chair and stand in one position for an hour. Indulgences were forbidden. The blonde laughs, remembering the ball, and the girl asks if Blaine only danced with Bella. She doesn't immediately notice how the gentleman's expression changes. She talks about how good the two of them look, how their status suits each other, and how they look like a prince and princess, and they harmonize very well. Elliot asks to start getting ready for bed. The girl finds it difficult to understand what she did wrong. The atmosphere instantly became tense. She plans to finish cleaning tomorrow. Spreading out on the floor and getting ready to get up, she notices a wound on the Duke's hand. It looks like he got hurt while climbing a tree. The green-eyed one asks to give her a hand and let her help. She wants to try practicing healing spells a little. Surprisingly, she gets consent. Concentrating, the maiden begins to cast a spell, hoping that everything will work. She finishes the experiment. In the morning, the two set off. The young man looks tired, deprived of sleep from one innocent touch of hands. The bird tells the witch that an elderly man in long robes was passing nearby. The duke is surprised that the maiden can communicate with animals. She can communicate with ease, having learned this a long time ago. They set off to find someone who might be the code word for the move. An hour later, the duo still don't know a single word that the magician said. The information was important. However, they are not getting anything. The girl still tries to be optimistic. They will follow the magician's trail, and they will still find him, and then they will figure everything out. The man is looking somewhere behind. They have come to the discovery. In front of them is a nest of man-eating wasps. It's illogical. Wasps live in the eastern part of the empire, near the desert. They didn't just appear out of nowhere. In the distance, a nest with eggs inside is visible. There is magical power around them. The man remembers the emperor's order, issued several days earlier. Wasps are dangerous, so mature specimens should be destroyed, and the eggs collected for further study. One of the knights then asked why this was so, since it seemed that the bodies of the monsters were of greater scientific interest. It would be easy to extract poison from them, the duke agreed. This was quite logical, but no one had the right to dispute the master's order. Albert only asked for eggs. Looking at the nest, the man is sure that the imperial family is behind everything. He hoped that they would calm down after that incident with the theft of the relic, but nothing happened. It only got worse. Instead of openly attacking Elliot, the emperor changed his strategy. They want to sow discord in the archduchy. This will be direct evidence of the emperor's dirty plans of the royal court. You just need to take a sample. If you compare the eggs with those indicated in the records, then a strong clue will appear. Holding out his hand, the blonde recoils. A troll grows in front of them. They took care of the protection of the nests. Hazel should move it. As soon as the girl does this, the duke gives the command to run away. She does not know the shield spell. She has not yet had time to learn it. She has to come to terms with the fact that a tree is flying at her. The young man takes out his sword and turns around. The tree is knocked off quite successfully. The giant accelerates, and several wasps behind him become active, rushing to the side and grabbing Hazel. The man hides behind a tree, covering her mouth with his hand so as not to attract unnecessary attention with sounds. Camouflage doesn't help. The monster finds its prey by scent and throws them aside. Its entire back is covered in poisonous stings. Trolls are immune to wasps, and they also have excellent regeneration. They can only be killed by a blow to the heart or by decapitation. Too many thoughts and doubts are spinning in Elliot's head. It won't be possible to kill such a brute with an ordinary sword. It is possible to gain only a few seconds, but by angering the monster, if you use the bound power, you can deal with it in an instant. The mother's voice echoes in her head. She asked that under no circumstances should the young man allow anyone to find out about the energy hidden within him. The man shouts for Hazel to run away, and he will take on the troll. The woman, being more resourceful, pointed something at the monster's nose, causing it to sneeze and fall straight into the pit behind it. The eggs, like the parchment, were on the sofa in the hut, and it remained to return back without any problems. Without immediately noticing, the maiden sees that his shoulder is wounded. A wasp sting has pierced it. His highness falls because the monster sneezed. One of them flew to the side, and everything gradually darkens before her eyes. As children, they encountered a monster. Healing power, like weapons, had no effect on it. All they could do was run, and as luck would have it, they found themselves in a dead end, with no adults nearby and loud noises irritating them. A bear rushed at them. Their whole short life flashed before their eyes, when suddenly a bright flash of light illuminated everything around. Traces of blood remained on the body. The monster dissolved. When his mother told Elliot not to tell anyone about what happened, the boy became upset because he did not understand why Giselle and Daniel were allowed to do this. Bad people wanted to take advantage of Blaine. Sacred power is a gift from the gods. However, the woman asked to continue to keep it a secret. She asked her son to keep it their secret. Soon, the young man had a younger sister. He asked if Luna could become the head of the family. He wanted to become a paladin, to turn and increase his power. His father promised that if the desire was sincere, then they would definitely support him. The young gentleman was sent to the temple. He repeated to the saint that he wanted to join his military forces. Soon, all dreams seemed to be destroyed, because a new law was passed, stating that a woman cannot be the head of the family. The emperor had something in mind. A younger brother was born. They named him Luca, and reassured him that he would be the one to inherit the title. His parents promised that they would always be there until he grew up. He had a bad dream. as if they had been overtaken by death. Opening his eyes, the boy realized that this was not true. His mother was sitting in front of him, alive and well, all because of the high temperature. They made him chicken soup. He really dreamed about it, because after eating, you always feel better. His Highness has finally woken up. He still can't draw the line between the past and the present. There is a smell around like in childhood. Hazel moved them to the hut. The Duke needs to gain strength. Deciding not to waste time, the lady remembered her promise and tried to cook the chicken soup that Elliot's mother cooked. The blonde begins to gobble up the food. He does not believe that the taste is exactly the same. It turns out that the promise was kept. The man thanks her and then falls asleep again. Hazel brought a healing potion, which must be used depending on the desired effect. One bottle will be enough, and it immediately becomes easier to breathe. The brunette is in a trance. She looks at her chest, on which there is a bandage. She hopes that he did not notice this and will not think to find out. Treating this with indifference, the hero turns his gaze to the standing vase of flowers. He asks where it came from. If a passing lumberjack sees this, he will think that the newlyweds are on their honeymoon. The man acts as if he is already feeling better. Giving flowers to a sick person is a banal expression of care and politeness. Getting up, the girl blushes and declares that she will go and clean up. Thoughts eat at her, because it could be that Elliot will remain crippled or will not be able to have children due to improper medical care. During the sortie, having almost died from a wasp sting, Blaine began to appreciate the fact that he was helped. Despite this, he becomes ill again. His temperature rises again. He was unable to raise even his own younger brother and sister, but decided to risk his life saving other people's children. He considers himself a fool. Not knowing how to do it right, Hazel tries to support. She likes this trait of His Highness. He also likes something about the girl. She treats human life with reverence. The brunette feels strange. The potion contains medicinal herbs, so the young man can get some sleep. It would be good if Schwarzwald used some kind of miracle potion. She never revealed who she was. Having never used anything like this, the brunette doesn't know how to make her believe in her bright intentions. Even the thought that a witch could lay claim to a place next to the Archduke is absolutely delusional. After a while, the young man gets up. It was no trouble for him. The pain disappeared as if by magic. Looking around, he realizes that Hazel is not nearby. She seems to have gone into the forest alone. This looks more like stupidity and courage. The girl left a note in which she said that she went to get some fruit and asked to take some medicine if the pain suddenly got worse. A fire was lit in the house. The armor was lying to the side, and there were 2 blankets nearby. It's very thoughtful of her. Getting up, the blonde sees that there is chicken soup in the saucepan. Smiling, the young man says the name Hazel. He is unlucky because she is nearby, just returning home. She is glad that the gentleman has become strong enough to move around on his own. She brought berries with her. There are a lot of ripe raspberries in the area. The man was not left unattended for long, and the maiden returned quickly. The young man feels embarrassed, deciding that it is time to move on to the most important thing. The brunette declares that she managed to decipher the magic circle, helping to put on armor. The girl heads outside. Previously, while trying to uncover the formula, the heroine felt that it was some kind of nonsense. Concentrating all her attention, she deciphered the code, which contained the name of the monster living in the lands. If she had failed and returned later, the Duke could even have died. While trying to decipher it, the girl stumbled upon something interesting. An ordinary person dies literally instantly after a sting, but Elliot was ill for only 1 day, after which he was in perfect health. There are exceptions. Those who possess pure magical power are immune to monster poisons, while those with holy power, depending on its nature, can neutralize the poison in their body. For a moment, the maiden thought that the young man possessed such energy, but quickly threw all thoughts aside, because he fought with his bare hands all the time. It was stupid if sacred power was hidden in the body. The snake on the pages attracted attention. After sending a request to the Magical Association, the heroine received a rather irritating answer. They do not have the necessary information about snake legs, but are willing to conduct a longer study for a donation. The lady pounced on the toy and ruffled it. It seems the witch won't find out anything, even if the magicians are hiding something. The cat asks if Hazel has figured out the spell. She nods. If desired, anything can be done. The girl can read texts of the highest level. The cat is interested in whether they will be able to return their bodies back. The magical seal can only be removed by the person who placed it. Another way out is if the witch dies. The seal is not removed. It is obvious that she is still alive. The clock is striking. It is time to pick up the children from classes. They were not hired as nannies. This is a temporary measure. Albert receives news that makes him scream. Not only was the magician unable to trap the Duke, but he also left evidence of their involvement in the hands of the scoundrel. The man is ordered to get out of sight. Regina tries to calm him down. Even if Elliot has evidence, they have no political grounds to present it. However, soon everything could happen because of the Monet family. The Duke claimed injustice, claiming that his services in the war were undervalued and that he did not receive the recognition he deserved. They harbored a grudge, believing that the emperor had used the family, and there were rumors that revenge was coming. Two families are going to enter into a marriage alliance. Fortunately, they are doomed to failure. The Black Forest witch is to blame. Gerald declares that he himself saw everything at the ball. Elliot rejected Bella, intending to dance with Hazel. After that, they hugged each other like a couple in love. The man even tied the girl's shoelaces. The father yells at his son. They kept this information from him for too long. The Empress suggests an idea. These rumors are not yet widely known, but it is possible to make the rumor about Elliot's passionate love for the witch become common knowledge. Then the alliance with the House of Monet will end, and the Duke's popularity will decline. Luca asks Hazel when the baby will be born. He would like a boy. Lunabelle, on the contrary, would like twins. They talk about a child with Blaine. There are rumors among the servants that the two of them spent the night in the forest. With every word, it becomes more and more awkward. The brunette blushes and screams that this is all not true. They did not sleep in the same bed. They even had separate beds at a distance. There will be no baby. The maids, immediately upon returning, asked if everything was all right. The maid thought that they were worried whether the two had suffered at the hands of monsters, but in fact, they attributed a stupid love affair that did not exist. The heroine doesn't know if the rumors have reached the Archduke. He stands at a distance, watching them. As soon as he realizes that he has been noticed, he turns around and leaves. He didn't even wave. It seemed that their eyes met for a moment. One can't help but recall the words spoken in the hut. Obviously, the man still doesn't trust the nanny. He keeps an eye on her. Her heart sinks. She's annoyed to realize that everything is turning out this way. Daniel comes to His Highness with a confident proposal to fire the witch. Rumors cannot be allowed to leak outside the estate. For the sake of the new Duchess, the right decision would be to fire the girl, but he is refused. The young lord and lady are all right. They can go back to how things were originally. The young man has finally managed to gain recognition from his brother and sister. There is no need for him to go back to being hated again. The future of the duchy depends on the master, Arwen decides to ask. As a friend, if the young man is in love, someone knocks at the door. Hazel asks if His Highness is busy. He answers that he is not busy, although he has many tasks and unsorted papers. The girl received a letter with a seal from the baronial family of Hobart. Surprisingly, they wanted to invite her to the spring ball. This is not a problem. The Duke also received an invitation. Daniel understands where this is leading and why they were invited together. She, as a participant in the rumors, needs to know about what is happening. She is aware of what is happening. However, she will not tell from whom exactly she learned about it. Probably again an insidious plan of the Emperor. He wants to show the truth of the rumor. The purpose of spreading the monsters is the same as Albert's new venture. He wants to see Elliot's reputation as the heir to the throne fall, and to reduce the interest of the passing party. The influence of rumor has a serious impact throughout the empire. Realizing that she had ruined everything, the brunette lowers her gaze and asks for forgiveness. She is assured that there is no need for this. On the contrary, she should be grateful that the nanny managed to prevent the threat and neutralize the enemy. Daniel also had problems with rumors. Someone spread the word that he was having an affair with a lady. Arwen did not agree, although it was true. With the Duke, everything is much more complicated. Obviously, his person is much more important. Elliot has no claim to the throne. He could refuse the invitation to the ball. He would like to, but for a person in whose blood the imperial family flows, this is impossible due to the status given at birth. Everyone knows that the Duke does not want to compete and seek a place in the palace. He needs allies. It is necessary to immediately visit the Duchy of Monet and propose to Bella, because her father has also heard rumors. The knight reminds again and again that he needs to do something before his reputation is lowered to a lower level. The man is ordered to watch his language. Nothing will happen if the marriage waits a little. According to the rules, an alliance is formed when it is necessary to combat the threat posed by the imperial family. The danger, on the contrary, has diminished. No one knows how long the calm will last. Daniel is not calming down. The imperial family will be further provoked as soon as the man ties the knot. He will prolong the life of himself, his brother, and his sister by pretending to be uninterested in either the throne or politics, and by leading a dissolute lifestyle. The girl speaks up. She wanted to suggest something, but quickly changes her mind, says goodbye, and runs away. Daniel repeats again that although he agrees, it will still be right to fire the witch, as long as there is a person dear to his heart. The young man will not marry. Autumn is coming quickly. The Duke, as the head of the family, must make sure that no one gets sick. He has been busy lately and has not been able to spend time with the younger ones. It is more natural for them to consider Hazel a member of the family than their brother. A young man was walking through the forest. The black forest was visible in the distance. Accidentally stepping on a twig with his foot, he attracted attention. A girl was also walking. Something was glowing in her hands. Opening her palms, she showed a moon butterfly. She appears in the forest during the full moon to take one for herself. The maiden brought with her a jar where she caught it. Elliot agrees that this specimen is beautiful. He turns his gaze to his hand, where a cut is visible on his finger. The girl could have used healing magic, but decided that she wouldn't do it for such trifles. The blonde man stared intently, deciding that it would be better to apologize for the fact that they were drawn into unnecessary, dirty rumors. For Hazel, it's an honor. She hopes that such an answer does not show her interest in profit. For the Duke, everything is different. He declares that everything is not so bad. For the sake of Mrs. Honor, he will personally ensure that the rumors die down. There is no need to worry. The man came up with a plan. He could show up at the upcoming ball with another lady, then she would become the main target. Then rumors would spread that the Duke was an unfaithful man. He didn't care about that. The young man would dance with another. The mere thought makes the girl feel uncomfortable. Hazel has her own thoughts on the matter. She starts to speak, but at the last moment she hesitates and considers the idea absurd. Before finally telling, she assures that she has no personal interest. Schwarzwald will not be burdened even by gossip that they are really lovers. Since her bad reputation can protect His Highness, the man is against it, because the servants know that they are not a couple. They may pretend to be in a relationship, but will not enter into one. Blushing with embarrassment, the Virgo walks from side to side, repeating that anyway, faced with a displeased expression on his face. She asks to forget about everything that was said. The reaction is unexpected. Holding out his palm, the young man agrees to let them do it. Still in a stupor, the lady does not understand what is happening. Kissing her hand, he asks her to become his girlfriend. Having dragged Hazel into full view, the Duke announced that they had started dating. The maids were speechless, the children were delighted, and Daniel was the most angry of all. He finally understood why they seemed suspicious. Luca asks again when the baby will be born. Luna repeats that they need to have a wedding first. The heroine feels even more awkward. No one knows that this is a fictitious relationship. Later, Arwen asks how long they started dating since the witch appeared as a nanny. The young man began to behave suspiciously, and eventually even extended the contract with her, although he assures that he did not do this out of personal interest. The Duke constantly covers for Hazel. Even when she breaks the rules, she is treated too leniently. The man chased after her, constantly following on her heels, under the pretext of worrying about his sister and brother, behaved inappropriately at the ball. When Victor danced with her, His Highness felt a pang of jealousy. The blonde calmly confirmed everything, because he saw no point in denying it. The young man was asked, no matter what happened, not to have an illegitimate child. There are new rumors, and considering that he and the witch have reached a new level of relationship, it may be true that they were planning to have a baby in the forest. The man asks to be quiet. He has old views. In such matters, he will wait until the wedding night. This makes it even more disgusting. There is no way he could marry the girl, considering that she was a decrepit witch. The Duke reminds him that she is a completely different person. No one controls him. It is noticeable to him that she has been replaced, as if she is not from her village. Schwarzwald didn't know about the drink they drink on New Year's, didn't know that the Supreme Pontiff has the gift of clairvoyance, and didn't know that Blaine has no right to refuse the inheritance of the throne. Even little children know that. The witch's nature is suspicious. As a person, she is not at all strange. Her body and soul are different from the one who constantly plotted. Daniel understands this. However, the head still cannot marry the one whom everyone hates. The young man is considered a selfish head of the family. He has always lived for others, not for himself. Perhaps it is time to act in his own way. First and foremost, he is also a person who has the right to choose his own future. The knight understands that it is better for a man to do what he considers best. He is thanked, and his skillful management of the estate is credited to him as a reliable friend and advisor. Let the young man have a lover. He is sure that the friendship will remain unchanged. Leaving the door, the brunette throws out something about what they will see. Hazel brought with her several pieces of paper, namely, an agreement on a fictitious relationship. The man runs through the lines with displeasure. He remembers that he proposed to become a real couple. He doesn't like absolutely everything that is written from beginning to end. There is also a period of validity. The girl decided that it would be better to start with 3 months, or this is too long a period. The contract also contains a clause regarding termination. As soon as His Highness wishes to end the fictitious affair, one word is enough to break off the relationship. The man thinks it's a great idea. Hazel feels uneasy, but she doesn't show it so that her enemies don't guess anything. She'll have to pretend in front of her allies. They both sign. The girl is given her first task. As a future duchess, she must prepare for the upcoming ball. Regina is furious. The marriage is needed for the allies. She considers it humiliating. The princess is being offered a ridiculous marriage, even though she is the rightful heir to the throne. The emperor clears the way for his son. The one who is stupid claims the place of the ruler simply because he is a man. The girl will not come to terms with this. Getting rid of Gerald would be the right decision, but it is too risky. Committing murder in the palace is almost impossible, and if it turns out that Regina is behind everything, she will be in danger. A decision was made to try to carry out the plan outside the palace. Female rule would be restored. The title was initially banned from being inherited because of Lunabelle, so that she would not become the head of the family. It is enough to allow the baby not to become a duchess. She will die, and the problem will disappear. The woman is confident that she will do the right thing and regain her right to the throne. Luna watches the couple for a long time to understand that something is wrong. She asks if they are really dating. She has never seen them alone. Later, the two discuss what to do next. The girl guessed too quickly, and they had never been in a relationship to understand how to behave properly in public. The only thing the man knows is about kissing, and having said this, he looks at Hazel and declares that it is her turn. They ask him to close his eyes. Already being close, the maiden feels how her dreams are shattered. They ask what she wants to say. The Duke expected that the discussion about letting down the lovers would continue. The lady can't think of anything other than strolling through the shopping arcades and horse riding. These seem to be activities unsuitable for aristocrats, but the young man agrees. The lord does not need knights, and the witch does not need protection. Because such a person will be next to her, Luna and Luke need protection. They walk along the shopping arcades. People around them whisper, which makes the girl sad. She managed to achieve what the performance was intended for, but there is no joy in it. Noticing that his companion doesn't look well, the young man throws his cape over her shoulders. He thinks that he needs to stock up on potions just in case, and ask Harold to prepare a delicious dinner. The first stop was a tea shop. A man asked where he could have some privacy, and the room immediately became quiet, and the stairs made you want to fall into the ground. His Majesty pays no attention to anyone at all. Sitting down opposite his beloved, he begins to list what they have done and what still remains to be done. He asks questions about his family that never bothered him, obviously doubting the identity of the witch. She was raised by her grandmother. She has no parents, no brothers and sisters. Surprisingly, the Duke is interested in learning new things. Deciding that the time has come, the girl also asks about him. He is happy to answer questions if they are interested in him. The guys are looking for Hazel. It turns out that she is nowhere to be found. It turns out that the two went for a walk together. A stranger in a cloak approaches the hut. "Do you by any chance live here?" The woman introduces herself as a merchant. Luna immediately says that they are not buying anything. She is lost, but even so, they quickly show her the path that leads to the village. Regina is tired and asks for a rest, but they don't let her into the hut and allow her to rest outside. The princess said she went to pray and should return quickly, but the children are holding her back. While Luna was talking, Luca managed to go get a mug and offers him a drink. His sister scolds him. Hazel taught him not to communicate with strangers. The stranger thanks her for the drink. She was saved from thirst. In return, she will give an apple. It is poured. Inside, there is an elixir that plunges her into eternal sleep. By refusing, Luna irritates Regina. She offers an elixir that turns into frogs and is again refused. The last thing she offers is perfume with the smell of cookies. Coming closer to sniff, the babies turn into birds. They are still children, so they fell for it. It took some effort to transform. The girl wants to take them with her. Lady and Daisy arrived just in time. They were about to rush at the attacker. She was not one to be timid. She took out her sword and defended herself, jumping on her horse, and rushed away. The lady didn't plan to take the boy, but it's even better this way. There will be fewer contenders for the throne. She'll put the birds in a beautiful cage, and they'll have a good life. The girl asked about the poison of man-eating wasps, which affects the brain and male performance, and the blonde man, snorting discontentedly, shows with all his appearance that he is fine. In the shop a meter across the street, someone is trying to sell something in a bag from which sounds are coming. The seller refuses. Hazel hears cries for help because she understands animals. Rushing forward, she calls out to Luna and Luca. Turning around, the stranger shows her face. Realizing that it is the princess, the Archduke rushes after her. The fact that Lady and Daisy appear behind her indicates that they are indeed children. With the help of magic, the witch takes them to herself. The woman, in despair, continues to run away. If she is caught, she will become more stupid than her brother. They will chase her until the very end. There is no choice. Using the vial, she disappears. Only the cloak remains in the alley. Elliot did not find anything. Time passes. The Emperor's daughter shows no signs of life. She is considered missing, and the Imperial House intends to hide this. That day, the Duke took out his anger on the children for getting them into such trouble, although he was angry at himself for not being there to protect them. Thanks to what happened, it became clear what the Imperial family was trying to achieve. Luna was still too young to be drawn into political games. A tailor comes to Hazel to take measurements for the spring ball. She will make a dress, and is delighted that the lady's measurements have not changed at all. She is offered beautiful fabric. The woman treats the nanny completely differently. Before, she was strict. Apparently, the rumors about her relationship with His Highness appealed to many. The clothes that are already in the wardrobe are certainly beautiful, but you cannot wear old ones. They do not correspond to the attire of a gentleman who occupies a high position. The young man's suit will be such that it matches his companion's dress. Luna likes the white color, realizing that it will resemble a wedding dress. Hazel asks to stop. Once this is finished, the tailor leaves. Luna invites Luca to go look at their garden. The Duke reminds him about his lessons, which is much more important. Addressing Schwarzwald, the young man says that after she puts the children to bed, they will meet at 10 o'clock in the evening. Realizing that it will be night, the witch becomes embarrassed. It's impossible to concentrate on a book after the kids fall asleep. The girl has a free hour before the meeting, and she's too worried. Realizing that she could no longer sit still, the young lady headed to the meeting, and surprisingly, she was already expected there. The Duke was waiting for their meeting. Before this, the young lady stopped on the stairs, noticing that the bow on her shoe had come undone. As she went down, they tied it the same way as the lace last time. The two go to the main hall. Suddenly it seems even bigger than before. The reason for the meeting is to practice dancing. They should stop looking around. The girl feels even more awkward. She doesn't know how to dance, in which case she will repeat all the movements after the gentleman. The first thing the green-eyed girl does is step on his foot. The girl is bullied. Noticing that she has broken her leg and trying to make things better with a healing spell, she gets angry, promising to cast some kind of terrible curse. When dancing in a couple, it is important to smile. Even if you don't like your partner, something clicks in your head. This is the reason why His Highness smiles tirelessly, despite the lack of sympathy. She wants to ask a question, but lacks the willpower and courage to do so. The heroine is afraid of the answer she might receive, so she doesn't dare to speak. Suddenly, it becomes dark. The lady feels lost. His Highness looks at her intently, without taking his eyes off her, lowers himself and kisses her hand, pushing her away. They tell him that she has learned enough. Hazel tries to escape. The light has gone out, which means it's time to rest. Stopping her, the Duke offers to take her to the room. In awkward silence, they go forward along the corridor. An unexpected question interrupts her thoughts. The man asks if he is better than Victor, and the woman doesn't understand who to choose. She hasn't met the knight, so she can't evaluate him as a worthy lover. The blonde hopes that a person with whom he can be compared will never appear. Regina hadn't shown her face for 3 whole months, and finally showed up only to ruin the family's dinner. I have to make up a story on the fly. That day she went to prayer. She was praying in her room in the Holy Cathedral, when suddenly someone climbed in and forcibly gave her a potion that turned the girl into a lark against her will. The Empress is interfering. It's all suspicious. The day she disappeared, there were rumors that a certain young lady was trying to turn the Duke's children into birds and kill them. It seemed that these were unfounded rumors, but it happened in the village of Serene, very close to the Holy Cathedral, and the Emperor wanted to know more about the rumors and what happened. The ban on touching has long been lifted. Despite this, the Virgo tries to restrain herself. For some reason, when there are no children, the distance is felt much more strongly, which makes her feel uneasy. After the words spoken in the evening, the heroine does not understand how she feels about the Duke. He behaves as if he really likes the witch. She reminds herself that he would never marry such a lady. As you climb up the mountain, the temperature gets lower and lower, and the cold makes your breath steam. Hobart's possessions are in the south, and before that, you have to drive through a mountain range. They are not far from the top. When the carriage stops, a tree has fallen ahead, blocking the road. There is a village nearby where the knights will look for tools, and at the same time, the horses will have a rest. It turns out that there is not a single soul in the settlement. Although it is suspicious, Elliot understands that this does not pose a danger. A messenger is sent to the next inhabited village, asked to prepare dinner for arrival. Hazel is the first to grab the axe. She will come back and help remove the tree. Taking the weapon, the Duke calmly explains that he will do this. Unable to bear it, the girl asks why they have been treating her like this since then, and misunderstanding this, the man gets angry and asks why she walks around unaccompanied. Without losing her composure, the lady reminds him of her powers. She can protect herself, but the blonde agrees to help. The more hands there are, the faster everything will go, and the conversation again ends in nothing. In the carriage, the distance did not seem so great. The girl was tired. They extended their hand to her. The gesture was too obvious. Without answering, the girl became frightened. A wild roar was heard in the distance. The Duke sees Drake, a wingless dragon, of which there are two types: the red dragon, which is covered in stone scales and breathes fire, and the blue dragon, which is covered in sharp scales and freezes with one breath. In front of them is a second species. Assessing the situation, Elliot orders them to run away. The air in an instant became piercing to the bone. All the inhabitants of the village turned into ice cubes because of it. It seems like the monster is breathing down their necks. At this rate, it will reach them in no time, and the squad will suffer the same fate as the locals. The girl tries to think of how she can reduce the number of victims, even though it is impossible to stop such a huge monster. The man rushes forward, and they fall down, opening their eyes. The heroine realizes that they are somewhere at the bottom of the cliff. He has long understood that the dragon is looking for them. It is possible to defeat a fire drake with darkness and cold, and the weak points of an ice drake are light and heat. Hazel remembers this at the most opportune moment. The maiden is about to disperse the clouds so that the light can penetrate directly to the scales. The Duke has a better idea, but before that, he insistently asks that no one tell about what they are about to see. There is a glow visible all around. Daniel does not understand where it comes from. Victor, exhausted, runs to it. Because of Drake, the master and Miss are trapped under the cliff. The man quickly realizes what happened, asks for directions, and goes forward. There is no trace of Drake, but they are still trying to stay alert. Those the squad was looking for emerge from the bushes. Hazel is fine, not injured. Unlike Elliot, Arwen promises to listen to the story along the way. They shouldn't linger. They arrived at the Hobart family estate very soon. The brunette tries on the dress and realizes that something is wrong. She chose a yellow-colored fabric, but received pure white. During the process, a request was received to change the material from which the dress was being made. The Duke himself asked for this, and he reported that white looks more elegant. No matter how many times Hazel saw Elliot dressed up, her heart skipped a beat every time. The white dress looked like a wedding dress, and he might have deliberately asked for a substitution. Having promised to take care of the jewelry, the man asks the maid to show him a beautiful set of a necklace, bracelet, earrings, and a ring. They will definitely attract attention. The joy turns to awkwardness. The jewelry was worn by the late Archduchess. Something like this can only be given to a wife, and I gave it to my wife. The emeralds perfectly highlight the deep green color of the young lady's eyes. The girl likes everything. It's time to move on. The ball is starting very soon. Baron Hobart greets the arriving Duke. A strange emotion flashes in his eyes for a second. Trying not to attach any importance to it, he follows him. In the hall, a man introduces her as a witch of the Black Forest. There is silence all around. The woman feels many glances on her, which make her feel completely uneasy. They immediately approach His Highness to greet him. They are glad that such a person has decided to honor them with his presence again. Hazel hides behind his back. In the created atmosphere, the meeting evokes special emotions. Earlier, the gentleman said that he would not be able to come due to lack of time. The young man wanted to talk about business matters. Without listening at all and interrupting mid-sentence, the blonde asks to address the one with him. Hazel, bending down, the brunette tries to comply with the rules of etiquette. The beauty must be at an official reception with the Duke for the first time. The man will be happy to serve. He does not have time to introduce himself. Elliot takes his companion. We have business. Making her way through the crowd, the lady inexorably hears everything that is said about her. No one understands how the Duke could get involved with a witch. The fact that Hazel charmed him is a shame. Turning around, Miss sees Manette. She is surrounded by her friends and wiping her eyes of tears. Bella thought that she was in a relationship with Elliot and was upset to find herself abandoned. The purpose of the union was initially only to dispel the suspicions of the aristocrats. This was achieved. Schwarzwald did not think about the feelings of the lady. She would like to tell her that love is fake. Handing over a glass of wine, The gentleman asks not to listen to aristocrats. They are full of prejudices towards those who do not fit into their social framework. Time will pass, and everyone will see the true essence. The witch is not offended, but the Duke is offended for her. She is not at all like the rumors say. The man hopes that everyone else will love his beloved, in which case there is no point in feigning love. The young man standing behind steps forward and almost spills wine on her dress. This was foreseen because the girl used the sparkling purity potion, and she is no longer afraid of anything. Everyone around reacted negatively. The one who wanted to pour water on the young lady was the most outraged. The dress wasn't even wet. He thinks that it is unsafe to allow a witch to be in high society and interact with people. The Archduke embraces his companion. He apologizes for not protecting her properly, which is why she almost got hurt. The atmosphere in the hall changes, and a game of passionate love begins right in front of the audience. Understanding her role, the brunette looks into their eyes and promises that everything is fine, that she was not hurt. Smiling, they answer that this is enough to calm the soul. Bella watched all this from the sidelines. She was lucky to be in the front row. Feeling shocked, she runs away, completely not understanding how not to react to this. A little earlier, she had a conversation with her father, in which she learned that she cannot count on marriage. The man said that he no longer intended to marry. The wedding was postponed or cancelled. Perhaps he was truly in love with the witch, and so delicately refused Monette. She thought that it was just a cover from the pressure of the imperial family. The friends console the beauty. There's no point in crying over a childish prank. They believe that the gentleman has been cursed or brainwashed. Next year, they won't be coming to the Hobart Ball. It's easier for them to invite commoners. The witch is the most shameless, since she dared to show up at an important event and was not embarrassed by the fact that she was covered in jewelry of the former Archduchess. If you put a dress with expensive stones on a bear, he will be beautiful. The same thing with her. The Duke is as hard as stone. No one knows how the girl managed to bewitch him. She probably gained his trust and brainwashed him, or gave him a potion. And while talking, the trio did not notice how Elliot himself approached from behind. Both options are wrong. He fell victim to Hazel's beautiful soul. Bella feels ashamed of what happened. The witch is not around. Blaine will stand up for her. She is beautiful not because of her outfit, because she is naturally beautiful. Even without jewelry, her eyes shine brighter than anyone else. As soon as the man leaves, Lady Monette bursts into even more bitter tears. She does not understand why her friends spoke ill of Schwarzwald. Because of what happened, His Highness thought wrongly about the one who could have become his future wife. Bella repeats that she is incredibly offended. The Duke, who has not yet left, hears everything. Everyone knows that the girl is cunning and calculating. A certain cunning is necessary for the Archduke's wife, but in addition to her strengths, she is also weak-willed. The woman is weak, or pretends to be so, for her own hidden purposes. She is not the most pleasant person. Blaine prefers to stay away from her. She herself will soon give up trying to get closer, will forget that they were planning a marriage. Hazel was left completely alone in the hall. She was sitting in the corner and looking at everyone around her. As expected, the arrogant aristocrats did not accept the witch, but she was destined to become the future wife. The young man began to realize his feelings quite a long time ago. His feelings were not just a romantic attachment. It was something more, something that grew day by day, became more and more. There was an unbreakable connection between them. The lady promised that she would remain forever devoted. Although he had apologized earlier, the hero felt the need to do it again. He left, although he shouldn't have, and left his companion to be bored. Fortunately, since she was alone, no one dared to approach. The time passed peacefully. It was better to go to the estate. Suggesting that she could use the guest room, the girl is refused. The Hobart family belongs to the Imperial faction. They are in enemy territory, and although it is troublesome, it is much safer to go to the chambers. Presumably, the girl is very tired. She objects. She had fun at the event. Thanks to the gentleman, she lived a fairy tale day, as if she had been in the role of a princess. The displeased expression on the Duke's face speaks for itself. He would like it if they complained to him, at least sometimes. His heart tells him to listen. The heroine reminds him that she was taken care of all day. This is the reason why nothing happened. Thanks to this, no one will doubt that they are in a real relationship. They are lovers. Virgo believes that the goal has been achieved. With her words, she drives the young man into a stupor. He cared for a reason. It was not a show for the public. He stops making excuses and does not want to continue trying to reveal his feelings. The main thing is that his companion had fun and the evening went well. The carriage arrives at its destination, leading the lady down the corridor to her room. If she needs anything, she can always ask the maid for help. Hiding behind the door, the green-eyed one wishes her good night. Lying in bed, the Duke can't fall asleep. He tosses and turns, remembering his last conversation with Hazel. Apparently, she also has feelings for him, or this is a stupid fantasy. Everything is going well, only the fiction in the relationship is a problem. Having no right to complain about what he himself agreed to, the man looks for the positive in everything. It's good that Schwarzwald doesn't hate him, but treats him calmly. There's some noise outside that attracts attention. Quickly jumping out of bed, the young man grabs his sword and runs out, finding himself in the kitchen, but sees Hazel in front of him. She dropped one of the cutlery, smiling awkwardly. She asks if the gentleman is hungry. The brunette is about to make pizza. She can't open the jar of sauce. They help her, but there is absolutely nothing to be proud of, because she opened it a little to make it easier. The green-eyed one is asked how exactly the dish is prepared. What Hazel makes is not a regular pizza. First, she takes out the center of the bread, spreads it with tomato paste, then adds fried onions and sausages and grates cheese on top. Everything is ready. All that remains is to fry it in a pan on low heat until the cheese is melted. The finished dish looks impressive. All that remains is to eat it. His Highness goes to the end of the kitchen. He takes out one bottle. Without wine, there can be no good dinner. Opening it, he pours the drink into glasses. Feeling her consciousness gradually becoming clouded, the lady decides to ask. She understands that the man was in a relationship after all, and more than once. When he answers that this is not true, she thinks that what was said is a lie. It is unfair. The Duke really didn't have a perfect relationship. He's not a ladies' man. Smiling at the way the girl behaves, the blonde asks if she wants to know one interesting fact about him. No matter what he took on, he was suspected of having many years of experience because of how good he was. When he first rode a horse, or when he first picked up a sword, along with the praise he heard doubts about whether it was really his first time. Even in the case of sacred power, the one who trained the boy said that his mother must have taught him. Hazel understands that the Duke is too skilled. This also applies to love relationships. Henceforth, he will try to appear more experienced. She is interested in what ineptitude will look like in the face of honed mastery. Leaning closer, the girl asks about the sacred power. When a huge troll attacked them in the forest, he was unable to use his energy because of a witness. If he had used it, the monster's poison would not have been able to work. After being poisoned by an arrow, the sacred power neutralized the infection. Powerful energy belongs to a person who deserves it and knows how to handle it. His Highness is pious. Elliot listens and remembers his mother's words. Even as a child, he was told that the Archduchess should not just be his wife, but a companion worthy of a ruler. She should be wise and able to understand others, and certainly keep secrets. His intuition did not fail him, because he chose the ideal candidate. Before this, the lady had never asked the question about where the thing that was at her wedding came from. Because of the Emperor's machinations, she had to give up her dream several times. The young man looked at his subordinates with envy. One story makes Hazel sad and incredibly hurt for him. She shouts that as soon as everything is over, she will definitely help. Shrugging her shoulders, the blonde explains that he doesn't want this anymore. Priorities have changed, because a holy knight is obliged to take a vow of celibacy for his entire life. The girl is surprised by this opinion. Lately, when she is near the Duke, only one thought comes to her mind: how lucky his future wife is. The young man asks who this lucky woman will be. As if on purpose, she ignores him and begins to talk about her dream. Hazel dreams of quitting her job, opening an orphanage, and living out the rest of her days in the hustle and bustle of life. She wants to create a place that will not only be a place where children can live, but also a place they can call home. She wants to show how much joy there is in the world. Regina arrives in the snowy kingdom of Bellund. Her father blamed her for everything. She tried to kill the Duke's children. She was lucky that the man did not attack them, using this as an excuse. Otherwise, all the evidence would have surfaced, and then their dynasty would have come to an end. The woman had no choice but to obey what Albert told her. He ordered her to take responsibility and marry King Billund. The girl promised herself that she would get the throne at any cost, later, but she would get it. The weather was clear in the morning. 2 people wanted to work. The rain ruins everything. The rains have become especially frequent in the summer. They come several times a week. If this continues, it will be dangerous. The deep mines are filled with water. One of them thinks that they can leave. The second one asks in surprise, because if they do that, then the work will be significantly delayed. They are already behind the established schedule. He suggests working longer until the rain pours even harder. Realizing that he can't wait, the green-haired man rings the bell to signal the workers. The rain will continue, and then the soil will become even more soggy. A mine collapse is possible. The river will overflow its banks, and in that case, everyone will die, or a landslide will occur. Raising their heads, They see a huge crack coming from above. Managing to escape, they fall to the ground. Everything has collapsed. They ask the assistant to immediately go down and inform the headman about everything. Bring a tree to try to make supports. There is no one to help them. The children are having fun with the rabbits. They are also hot. Fortunately, it is much cooler inside. The animals know that they are fine outside. The kids are cute, even though they are without fur. Hazel catches herself thinking that only she understands the language of animals, and this is good. Elliot was with his brother and sister, and then he disappeared somewhere. They went outside to look at the rabbits, and then he left. With the change of seasons, the work increased. The young man constantly sits in his office, but still finds time to spend with the younger ones. The man not only cleaned up the children's cookies, but also helped make tea. One cookie attracts attention. The little man is holding a small heart in his hands. The children don't remember doing anything like that. The woman suggests that it could have been the Archduke, a stupid idea. Daniel looks at the gentleman with displeasure. Before expressing his displeasure, lately, Elliot has been spending more time with Hazel than in his office. He has nothing to complain about, and all matters are resolved without delay. There is one problem. Due to the downpour, the soil has weakened, and the cave has collapsed. They are reporting that there are missing miners, but the rain does not stop, and rescue operations are difficult. The situation seems critical. The villagers are angry with the Duke. They assume that the downpour is nothing more than a consequence of the god's wrath at the strange creature that Blaine brought. They are against the witch. The young man understands that this is an excellent opportunity for her to prove herself. The blonde man doesn't seem to be listening. Arwen is trying to get through to him and explain that Hazel can't be sent to a place where every second person hates her. If she ends up where people are dying, it only makes the baseless accusations and anger towards her and the duchy more enjoyable. Continuing to insist on his own, the hero explains that regardless of whether the witch is there or not, people will be unhappy because those who are grieving need someone they can blame for what happened. The gentleman firmly believes that he must use the chance to make Hazel the savior and not the one who is to blame for all the troubles. Arwen noticed how he has changed. He used to think through all the scenarios from the best to the worst. Falling in love influenced him. He knows about changes in the heart like no one else. Still, the blonde has calculated everything. He asks not to worry. He understands perfectly well what the assistant is thinking. The worst-case scenario that he imagines will never happen. Later, the three of them go together to the scene of the tragedy. The first thing the girl asks is how the work is going and whether there has been any success. Those who remained outside continue to try to reach their colleagues, but they soon realize that the ground is soggy, the stone blocks are too much for them to handle, and they don't have enough strength. The soil is loose, the support is useless. The man who voices this is immediately shouted at. They can't send one letter and sit and wait for help. People will then be left in a trap. They are lucky that they did not perish along with them. The young man hopes that the letter reached the Archduke. He was heard. In addition to the fact that Elliot read the letter, he arrived personally to provide assistance. He is immediately told that there was not enough strength to break the stones. The layer of earth inside is so thick that the guys can't check if the others are still alive. They can only stand outside and wait for something. The rain is pouring down. There could be another collapse. They can't use manpower, no matter how hard they try. First, it is necessary to stop the rain. One of the workers is surprised and asks how this is possible. Grinning, the blonde looks at Hazel, snapping his fingers. The girl looks at the sky. In a second, it becomes clear. The clouds disperse, the rain stops, and the sky becomes clear. The sun's rays pass down. The men are horrified. They step back and ask in surprise how this happened. The witch is a little ill. The young man gives her a bottle. She thanks him. The potion is perfect and made conscientiously. This is not the time to relax. The maiden reminds that there is a place that needs to be visited. They head towards the beavers, not immediately understanding. Elliot asks a question. The animals say something. It turns out they want the newcomers to get away before they chew through the bridge. They will definitely not help the killers of their friends and loved ones. They remember everything and remain angry. It soon becomes clear that beaver hunting had previously taken place, and some of the villagers sold beaver pelts as a supplementary income. The Duke asks why the mine's output is insufficient to feed the workers and orders the beaver hunting to be stopped and reformed. Hazel looks at them with hope and asks them to forgive the workers. The animals are not vindictive and agree. They agree to build a dam. The water will be diverted from the mine. There is only one problem left. As they approach the cave, a woman screams loudly, asking if there is anyone down there. The man is surprised that the girl hopes that someone will hear her. She is not addressing the inhabitants. A mole emerges from the ground. she asks for help, noticing that from the rains the worms have multiplied in droves. Only hearing this, the mole goes down. The workers are sitting in a cave. They understand that their strength is starting to leave their bodies. Before death, they have only a piece of stale bread left. An animal crawls out to them. A loud sound is heard in the distance. Panic is all around. Because it looks like a collapse. They will die even sooner than they thought. Surprisingly, more moles start appearing around. In a few minutes, they've made a huge hole. They've dug deep, thereby creating a safe path. They'll deal with the consequences. It wouldn't hurt to cook some warm soup for the rescued people. They're hungry and cold. The certainty of rescue noticeably eased the tension. The families of the victims gathered and helped prepare food and warm clothes. After some time, the first miner emerged. He looked around and couldn't believe he had survived. Couldn't believe there was a bright sky above him. The wife notices her husband and rushes to hug him. The daughter also runs up, tears streaming down her face. He can't believe that he was able to see his family. Everyone around is immensely grateful for the rescue, grateful that the families are reunited again. The workers do not understand how they can repay for their salvation. The Duke offers to apologize. It was they who slandered the young lady, considering her a dark witch. They made hasty conclusions about her virtue. The maiden heard what they said about her, but instead of punishment, she asks for an apology. They really did spread rumors, and it's incredibly embarrassing. Hazel smiles and asks not to do that in the future, only if they say good things about her. The daughter of one of the workers liked the soup. She asks how it was prepared. The girl's mother wants to know more so she can cook for her later. The little girl wants more. The recipe is quite simple. The woman shows all the ingredients and demonstrates how to mix them. The Duke at this time goes to talk to the headman, he was warned. Someone tries to spread the rumors again, claiming that the witch first sent the clouds herself and then freed the miners, and that Elliot is serving as a puppet. He explains that this is logical. Since the sky was quite clear in the morning, the man is asked to be careful with his words and be responsible for them because the girl has done a lot of good. Before this, she cured all the cattle from illness, then prevented a forest fire, not to mention that 2 days ago she restored the dam. It is wrong to forget about noble deeds. Hazel falls asleep in the carriage. It is quite tiring for her to travel for 4 days. Cases of natural disasters have become more frequent. Recently, absolutely everything has been happening, from illness to drought and flood. Arwen is once again dissatisfied. He is unable to understand why the woman's behavior is so different from the rumors he has heard all his life. She looks like a different person. Even after everything that happened, he cannot come to terms with Hazel. A day comes in the palace that the chef hates. He needs to serve frogs on the table. The Empress has strange hobbies. Opening the plate, the man sees one of them alive. It throws itself right in his face. The young man starts screaming and tries to shake off the hated frog. Because he is waving his arms, the plate falls to the floor. He cannot come to his senses. And when he opens his eyes, he sees a multitude of frogs in front of him. Without thinking twice, they run away. While at the table, Gerald proposes a brilliant idea to his mother. He intends to lure the witch to their side, because if they do this, then the respect that the people show to Elliot will be shown to the prince. With his handsome face, he will be able to easily get close to Hazel. The Empress thinks that it is foolish to enter into a relationship with a witch for the sake of respect from the common people. In this way, he will only lose face in front of the aristocracy. It is short-sighted to come to such an idea. Gerald is not going to listen to insults again. Getting up from the table, he heads outside. He hears a strange voice calling him. Goosebumps run across his body. In the distance, there is a frog calling him to itself. The man screams. Such a creature will not be insolent to him. He is so irritated that the words of an ordinary reptile make him lose his temper. The frog knows how he feels and lures him to tell her everything that is on his soul. She doesn't answer who she is, assuring him that she simply wants to know everything that's on the young man's mind. She asks him to scratch her back. Gerald doesn't see the problem and reaches out to his body. His eyes begin to cloud over. Laughter bursts from his throat. He won't have to live in a miserable body anymore. The witch moves into the prince's body, all thanks to how stupid he is. The image of a whiner suits him. He won't have to be particularly sad. He is left in the imperial garden. Lady and Daisy are resting, so Hazel feels at peace. She is reading a book, but hears that something is happening with the children. Luke does not understand anything. His sister explained the division to him. Despite this, the explanations with details did not help him. He was advised to imagine that the numbers were apples. The situation worsened, because sharing with others makes eating more pleasant. But sharing is difficult. Watching this, the girl smiles. She is distracted by the Duke, asking what she is reading. Initially, the man approached her because he needed to talk to her, They had 2 contracts, and they suited both parties. Elliot offered to change the terms, to make it so that according to the contract, the young lady would become an archduchess. This was surprising. The heroine blushes with embarrassment, because this means that they will have to get married. The maiden reminds herself that this is all fictitious. However, this does not clarify the situation. Initially, it was planned to conclude an alliance with the Monet family. Divorce between aristocrats is prohibited. By marrying Hazel, the young man will have to break the union and violate this prohibition. After the proposal, the atmosphere in the room became tense. The witch does not know how to defuse the situation. Convincing himself that he is joking, the girl agrees to the terms. The blonde is surprised since when his beloved became so greedy, Luna's voice distracts. She clarifies what the two are doing. They completely forgot about the children in the room. The Duke decides that the time has come to tell the whole truth. Her Highness was torturing the children. It was she, that is why. At the last ball, Gerald suddenly distinguished himself with intelligence. It was as if he had become a different person, not so stupid. The man may have drunk some kind of potion. The boy asks if he can become as smart as Luna if he drinks something too. The brunette screams and tries to calm her brother down, assuring him that he is not stupid. Attempts to defuse the situation lead to something irreversible. Hazel asks what Luke wants to become in the future. He wants to be a witcher, wants to know as much as Hazel, and even be smarter than her. Dreamily closing his eyes, the Duke declares that she really is very smart. She can easily solve any problem. Luna corrects her pronunciation. The brunette quietly clarifies with Elliot. Before this, there had never been any witchers in their family. It turns out that they will have the first one. The green-eyed one is full of enthusiasm. Since the boy has already decided what he wants to be, the girl offers to help him with this. They will choose what to do next. They will have to start somewhere. First of all, the woman announces that they will conduct a test to see if the young man has innate abilities. The boy jumps up happily and agrees. To begin with, the girl plans to teach him how to sense magical energy. She asks him to raise his hands, close his eyes, and try to sense the energy through touch. The green-eyed woman asks in which hand Luca feels the power. Surprisingly, he immediately guesses, saying that he feels it in his right hand. The witch suggests that it is luck, offers to try again. Trying again and again, the brunette hears only the correct answers. All 15 times the young man manages to guess. This cannot be a simple coincidence. Luna intervenes, tired of watching, and she asks to try too, to test her strength. Soon, the brunette walks away with a dissatisfied face. Out of 15 attempts, she only managed to guess 2 times. It seems that the blonde is able to sense magical energy, while his sister is unable to do so. Her palms tingle from the flow. The woman asks to try again. Days go by. Every day, the boy trains under the guidance of Schwarzwald. One day, Blaine finally manages to fully control the magical power. He runs to demonstrate. There is no limit to his joy. He has an excellent result. Hazel announces that they will not stop there. They will have to gradually increase the amount of energy. Something is wrong. The girl still does not understand where the boy got such abilities from, what they are connected with. The woman creates a magic ball and is about to hand it over. As soon as she does, the ball disappears. It is not just absorbed, but vanishes. The boy again hangs his head, realizing that he can't even do this. Luna snorts. She can't even feel the energy. Her brother shouldn't worry so much. Even this skill is a great gift that only a small number of people possess. The blue-eyed one is going to continue. An idea comes to his mind. Looking into the nanny's eyes, he asks for even more energy. The brunette is not sure if this is a good idea. However, she does not refuse. Luca will make every effort to become better. Elliot, sitting next to him, reminds his brother that he should do his homework first. The young man ignores everything. The Duke turns around and realizes that all this time they were dealing not with magic, but with a cleansing force that has similarities with the sacred. All this time, a very powerful force was hidden within the young man. The elder orders him to stop. The blonde cannot control it. There is a bright light around that takes on a blue tint. Schwarzwald looks frightened. His Highness does not immediately remember what this is fraught with. The cleansing power kills witches because they are considered unclean creatures. Soon, everything calms down. The brunette falls into the Duke's arms. Her eyes are closed, and she is unconscious. Hazel doesn't respond. No matter how much they call her, she's alive, but nothing changes. Luke stands aside and doesn't understand what he's done, while the older brother continues to shake his beloved by the shoulders and beg her to wake up. When a bright flash occurred, it illuminated the entire estate. The knights from the squad immediately hurried to the place where everything happened. Arwen runs in first and rushes to the master. Another knight tries to calm the boy down, The brunette opens her eyes, doesn't understand where she is. She feels weightlessness. There is a feeling of lightness in the chest. However, it feels as if the body is under a layer of water. The body is heavy and filled with fatigue. It feels like it will become more difficult further. The witch understands that she should not close her eyes under any circumstances. If she does this, she will immediately fall into a wonderful sleep. From somewhere a voice will come that states the fact that everything has gone wrong. The voice reminds her grandmother. She asks why the young man who spoke about matchmaking seemed to be testing the waters. There is silence in the estate. The maid saw the Duke enter Miss Hazel's chambers again. They say he visits her after work. Exactly 3 months have passed since that incident. The magical energy should have been fully restored by now, but she does not regain consciousness. Initially, the maid did not like how the estate became inappropriately noisy with the arrival of the miss, as if the noble posture that aristocrats should maintain was collapsing. The young master and mistress were behaving inappropriately. However, after that incident, they focused entirely on their studies and stopped laughing altogether. The woman doesn't know if this is right. She imagined the aristocrats as collected, but this is too much. They have lost any desire for joy. The kids miss what they had before. They wish Schwarzwald would wake up. Elliot is sitting next to his beloved's bed again. He feels lost. Arwen knocks on the door and enters the room. Daniel asks if the young man would like to get some sleep. He needs rest, because he is not made of iron either. He understands the master's concern, but it seems the young man is exhausting himself too much. He has completely forgotten about the duchy. The man hasn't slept for 2 nights in a row. His body can't handle being in this state for 3 months. They already have enough problems, because the kingdom of Billund has declared war. Regina harbors a grudge, and as soon as she takes the place of queen, she officially ignites a war with the empire. Even though he understands, the man seems not to be listening. He begins to repeat his mantra. He should have put up protection earlier. If he had noticed earlier that Luke had sacred power, what happened would not have happened. Hazel would be fine. Daniel tries to support as much as possible. There is no one to blame for what happened. Mrs. Recovery is much more important, but the gentleman forgets the main thing. He still has a younger brother and sister who need him. He must be strong to protect them. Instead, he is unable to lead the affairs of the Archduchy. Everyone, including the knight, has not turned their backs on him, and nothing can change that. Daniel is grateful that he understands. Luna carefully studies various books. She studies diligently. In one of them, she learns that ghost flowers that grow on the southern islands are best suited for restoring magical energy. Ancient writings say that this plant brings great benefits. It blooms only on snowy days. The girl understands that since it is spring outside, her brother should search the houses of local residents. Old witchers probably have a supply of dried ghost flowers.